Hey everyone, welcome back to the Keep Watching podcast, where we decide what to watch so you don't have to. I'm James.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to be talking about Heart Signal for episode 2 and maybe 3. We'll see. Okay, we need to catch the listeners up to what we're doing right now.
Shenanigans have happened.
So today that we're recording is May 31st. This is the day that episode 3 of Heart Signal was supposed to come out.
Yes.
We think, although we're not sure, we think the show got moved to Fridays. I don't know if maybe the ratings weren't doing well, or maybe it was planned from the beginning. I'm not sure. So we think the show got moved to Fridays, which
there's a whole kink in our whole plan.
Messes with our schedules for sure.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do here today, since we already watched episode 2, we're going to recap episode 2 and probably we'll record later and merge these two podcasts together. But there's a chance episode 2 might get released by itself. Right, Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll settle into some sort of normal cadence once we sort out whatever is happening with this show.
Yeah.
And our schedules, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's where we're at. If you didn't know that they're moving to Friday, I'm guessing it's the same time slot in Korea, so I'm assuming, Friday evening in the US Eastern time is when
should theoretically be available.
Yeah, on Viki.com at least. Okay. Do you want to get into some comments from the listeners?
Absolutely.
From episode 1, Sarah?
Yes.
All right. Interregnum on YouTube told us that. Do you remember the comment that the host had on Jimin when she came in about how she was straight out of like Architecture 101 or something?
Yes, I was very confused about what that meant.
Interregnum informed us that Architecture 101 is referring to a TV show, and they must be comparing Jimin to like an actress on that show.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't think is the same actress that Mingyu compares her to.
But still must be a compliment because
yes,
they're all very attractive. So There you go.
Interregnum said definitely a compliment. And then speaking of people looking like famous people on the show or actors, Suryanta on YouTube, who I believe is a first-time commenter, just says, "This season is madness." And then put together a list of actors that the participants on this season of the show look like, which I won't go through here, but
you think that probably helps getting cast on one of these shows if you just like look like somebody who's already famous? Probably, right?
Maybe. I mean, they only said it for Mingyu, surprisingly, but usually everybody's like, "Oh, you look like an actor." All right, that's like everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, if you go on the show and nobody says that, you might just be offended by it, right?
Yeah, just I am not attractive enough for television. Thanks, guys.
Thanks to everyone that commented. We got some more comments, but for the sake of time, we're not going to go through all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for listening too.
Yeah. Thanks
for coming along to the Heart Signal 4 journey. Here we go. All right, anything else you want to talk about before we get into episode 2 here?
Just I'm absolutely devastated because today I watched the last episode of Ted Lasso and oh man.
I haven't watched it. Hold on.
Oh, y'all gotta catch up. It's good, but now it's over.
Okay. All right, let's get into it. Episode 2, Sarah. Before though, where did we leave off at the end of episode 1?
We left off with text messages.
Well, I think that's every episode of the show.
Yeah. The last bit is everybody gets texted. It was the first day in the house. They had once the last person came in, they had like 20 minutes, and then they're like, "You must text someone," and they had to text based on first impressions. And they all made dinner and hung out, and then later sent text messages again. And like most of these shows, everybody's real bad at sending good text messages.
There was some tension between Jimin and the other two girls, it seemed.
Yes.
Right? I think we're going to talk more about that later when we get to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I have some new theories on that.
Okay.
But yeah, they do a little recap montage at the beginning of the episode. We find out that Jiwon did tell Mingyu that he got a text. I believe this was the first impression text. So the guys they originally weren't in the same room when they were getting their text, so they couldn't tell.
Right. Because they're actually not all roomed together, whereas all the women are in the same room.
The women are watching each other get texts.
It's very tense.
This episode, I feel like they make the guys sit in the same room at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just happen to be in the same room. I'm not sure if the production made them sit together or not. But Jiwon did tell Mingyu that he got a text. And then I rewatched episode 1 with my wife, and definitely some of the translations did change a little bit on Viki.com at least. So
yeah.
the playroom was still translated as the playroom. That will forever be funny to me.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I don't think that's going to change. And we find out that in this episode, occupation and age will be revealed.
Yeah, so soon.
This is an exciting episode. Yeah, I'm really glad they do this soon now, especially with the age. I'm learning more about how significant not knowing each other's ages, and it's we'll get more into that later. But I'm glad they get the age thing over with.
Yeah, people can finally relax, because I feel like when they don't know people's ages, they're all like on edge and don't know how to behave. And
yeah, basically what it boils down to is like, as a younger person, and we'll find out later like who the young person is. As a younger person, it's like it absolutely cripples your ability to converse when you have to hide that you're younger and you don't want to be disrespectful at the same time. It's like it basically makes it so you just avoid talking to people so you don't mess up. So
yeah, that's rough.
I think that might have been going on in episode 1 a little bit, which is why it appeared to be tension, but maybe it was not what we thought it was.
Yeah.
Okay. It's day 2 in the house, Sarah, and it is raining.
Yes. It's a nice, lovely, rainy day. I would love to just stay in bed on a day like this, but we see everybody get up.
Yeah. I believe it's a Saturday as well, right? We said it started on a Friday, the show.
Nobody's going to work.
A bunch of them have to wake up like hella early to go to work, but they are not waking up hella early today. So
yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's Saturday. Because G1 is going to wake up at 8:30. And I wrote down in my notes what happened to 6 a.m., but I don't think, I think it's the weekend.
Day off. It's okay.
And then Mingyu wakes up 10 minutes after him, and Mingyu bangs his head on a shelf.
They showed like a couple people banging their heads, because one of the women gets up and bangs her head on the bunk beds. Everybody's too tall for this house.
I thought it was weird that they showed him banging his head, and then they went to Jumi waking up 5 minutes later, and she bangs her head on the bunk bed. So it's like, okay, 2 people did it. That makes it worth it. And then Jiwon and Mingyu are eating breakfast together. This is weird, like we're getting used to their morning routines, but this really isn't their morning routine. So
yeah, I don't really think any of them know what to do with themselves. It's just all
it is awkward
because it's just day 2. Yeah,
the first day you wake up with like other people that you're not used to, you don't know what everybody's trying to do, and yeah, it's weird. We find out that they did talk about MBTI types in the first night, Sarah.
Yes, they just didn't show it to us.
Yeah. The show does not go through everybody's MBTI type, but we get, I think, 2 of the contestants that are going to spend... They're going to go on dates later, right, Sarah? These are dates, right?
Yeah. I mean, they don't really call them dates in the setup to it, but they are dates.
They're dates, though. Yeah, okay.
They're low-stakes dates.
Yeah. And they just do some flashbacks from the previous day, and they really highlight Mingyu for, like, they make him seem like he's really observant.
Yes.
All right.
Always just watching and not talking, really.
We might get into more reasons later, but I feel like Mingyu might be like the best representation I've ever seen of like maybe what I would be like on these shows.
Okay.
Maybe.
So you just wouldn't really talk to people.
He is talking to people. It's just he's not being aggressive about it.
And he does well like in one-on-one situations.
Yeah.
Which, like, when he goes on the date later, which, yeah, I understand that.
And he's just, like, paying really close attention and, coming up with something meaningful to say instead of just, like, forcing a conversation.
Yeah.
That's about probably how I would act, I think. Oh, because Mingyu, well, he's going to say to Jiwon, like, oh, you studied natural sciences, didn't you? And then Jiwon's just like, yeah, that's right. How did you know that?
Because he's always watching.
Did we get an explanation of why he knew that?
I don't think so. It's just his intuition.
Mingyu just knows, man.
Yeah.
Galray is the last to wake up. Oh, this was funny. Okay, I don't think I've ever seen the word cowlick ever written out before.
Uh-huh.
I never realized that word was literally like cow lick. I thought people were just saying like calic or something. Like, you know
Oh,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I thought it was just like a
Uh-huh.
term by itself. But
No,
no,
it's
it's
like
like,
a cow has
yeah,
licked the front of your hair up.
I never realized that until I saw it spelt in the subtitles here.
Learning stuff every day.
Yeah, actually insane. They tease Galray for his hair when it wakes up in the morning a little bit.
I was just surprised at his morning routine of like, he's like not really vacuuming the bed, but like cleaning it off like with a roller or something, like trying to get all the fuzz off or I don't know what he's doing. It's like he's being kind of sloppy, but he's tidying in the like sleepiest weird way. I don't know how to describe it. It's like half-assed cleaning his bed.
He's like slightly self-conscious because he has a roommate, maybe.
I
But
guess
like,
so. I don't know.
wouldn't normally care, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. It's a weird vibe, but yeah, his hair's all over the place because he just woke up.
And then we see that Mingyu thinks that Galray is younger than him.
And we're gonna find out the truth later.
And Jiwon definitely thinks Galray is younger than him, right? That's like basically
Yes,
both
yes.
guys think Galray is the youngest.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see if that comes true. Jumi is hanging out in the women's room. She seems very
Yes.
sad about
Yeah,
the
the
text.
edit is trying to tell us that, yeah, she is sad that she went from getting 2 texts for the first impression text to getting 0 texts for the end of the day texts.
Yeah, that is rough.
Yeah.
That would be a rough spot. That's worse than never getting any text, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I can't decide.
But like the reaction they're showing here is a lot different from the reaction that Jimin had when she didn't get any texts, where she was just like, okay, guess I'm gonna go fuck some stuff up and change it or whatever. Whereas this is just like, oh, sad Jumi. So sad.
Yeah. That's why I feel like it's worse, because it's like they liked her, but then they got to know her more and then they didn't text her. So it feels kind of bad, I think.
Yeah.
You'd rather be the other way around.
But still, you gotta like have the Jimin approach of just like, well, gotta go do something about this. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you know, what's gonna change?
I will say after rewatching episode 1, I think I was even more down on Jumi than I was on the podcast originally. I don't
Really?
know what it is. It's something about like I guess it was just kind of how she was like addressing or like talking to Jimin a little bit. And I was wondering like if this kind of rubbed off on people, like they noticed how she was talking and then that affected the guys in terms of, I don't know.
I just think the first impression text didn't, you know, it was just, I mean, they had like nothing to base it on. So, you know, it was just a quick first impression. And then they actually got to spend time with people later. So, I don't know. But it's all still early enough where all this can change.
Yeah, I just can't tell like the way that she kind of talked to Jimin, if that was like
Off-putting to other
off-putting
folks.
to everybody, or if it was just, you know, all that's kind of seeped in the honorifics stuff actually once we get to it. But also we're gonna get to Jumi's occupation, which I feel like might also be why she talks the way she does. No sign of Jimin still on the show for some reason. She has not gone up yet.
But Ji-young takes this opportunity to go downstairs. All the guys are like cleaning up the kitchen, and Jumi doesn't want to go downstairs, but Ji-young's just like, "Yep, gotta go," which is perfect. You know, she gets to be the sole girl hanging out with all the guys.
Yeah, and then Sarah, here's a question for you: is it heartwarming to be asked if you slept well?
Heartwarming. I mean, I guess it is it's a common thing you might ask someone if you see them first thing in the morning, but it theoretically implies that you care about someone's well-being, I guess. Yeah, I would not overwhelmingly be heartwarmed, but sure.
Ji-won says this to Ji-young. Is that what happens? And that's why the host, I think, commented on it saying like, oh, isn't it heartwarming when somebody does that? I swear this came up on Singles Inferno too. I want to say like Dongwoo said this to Seolgi on Singles Inferno too. And then the announcers were like, oh, Dongwoo, he's pushing too hard again. Like he's like asking somebody if they slept well. Like that's too personal of a question.
Well, I guess I feel like in some media maybe there's the idea of like when you're like dating someone, you text them first thing in the morning to be like, hey, how'd you sleep, good morning, or whatever, and then you text them before you go to bed being like, good night. So maybe it's mimicking that, and that's why they think it's heartwarming.
Yeah, but is this a question you would only ask someone you're romantically interested in?
I think I would only ask people who looked particularly sleepy. Just be like, oh, you okay? Did you not sleep well?
I feel like it's the default, like, if you don't know what to say, you're just like, it's the morning. like the bros might wake up and be like, "Hey, did you sleep all right?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't
Especially when you're like in a new place, because that's always like acclimating to sleeping somewhere new can be difficult. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay. I don't think I would have a huge reaction to somebody asking me if I slept well, but maybe
No.
maybe it means something that I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like mostly nothing to me.
Ji-won tells Ji-young that he went to bed early around 1:30 a.m.
Yeah, that's pretty late, but I guess maybe not here.
Yeah, so this show, when at least when it was releasing on Wednesdays, I believe it comes out at like 10:30 at night in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like
Yeah.
prime time television in Korea?
Oh,
'Cause, like,
maybe. I don't know.
in America it's like 8 o'clock. 8 to 10 is probably like prime time. What is it, like 10 to 12 in Korea? Everybody's
Maybe.
staying up so late, maybe? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if like Transit Love is anything to go by, everybody gets back from work super late.
Yeah.
So, maybe it is.
Doesn't Ji-young say with her job she like wakes up at 5 and gets home at 10 or something?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Gyeore, though, he seemed very pleased when Ji-young came down the stairs.
Oh, yeah.
But also, I liked him here because he like didn't like aggressively start trying to talk to her as soon as like first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
He just like showed that he was there, smiled, and like it was like pretty obvious he likes her, but he didn't overdo it. This is the kind of behavior that I support.
But it was kind of funny watching Ji-won and Gyeore kind of like stumble over each other, both trying to be like, "Oh, she wants coffee. Let's make her coffee."
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
like they're both like, "I want to be the one to make her coffee, but I can't be aggressive about that. This would be weird." And it's
Yeah.
just kind of silly.
I like they were both good.
Yeah, and she even asked, I think, for a type of coffee that they're like, "We can't make that here. This machine does not do that." It's kind of silly.
Well, she just wanted it to be iced, right? But then they found ice in the
Oh yeah, I
fridge or
think that's
something.
what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Basically, Ji-young and the three guys get to hang out for a while because
Yeah.
they make coffee and then they decide to go sit in the courtyard together.
We do get a scene of like Jumi and Jimin from the second floor just like looking out a window and like, "Oh, they're down in the courtyard without us."
Yeah.
It's kind
Yeah.
of silly.
And Jumi's reaction is like, Jumi's like, man, that would be awkward if I was Ji-young down there. Like if it was just her and the three guys. Is that what she's saying? And but then she's like, but Ji-yeon is so cool, she probably can handle it. That was like her commentary.
Yeah.
But then the three guys and Ji-young, they decide that they're gonna go watch like a movie. Is this what they decide to do?
Yeah, they're like waiting for the other girls to come and they're like, "We don't know what to do in the meanwhile." So, they were going to watch TV, but then they're like, "Oh, but if we start episode 1 and they miss it, then they won't be able to watch it with us later." Like, it's a whole thing. And then they just decide to watch a movie.
Yeah.
But it is funny. They follow her up the stairs, like she's like leading them to the playroom or whatever. And it's just these three guys following Ji-young around because none of the other girls will come downstairs.
Yeah. The caption on the screen translated was, "The three men followed Ji-young to the playroom." I feel like the playroom is like not something that is usually in these shows, right? Like in Hearts Angle 2, like I think at some point one of the participants like brought one of those like projectors, like small projectors you can just play stuff in like on the wall.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a TV in the house, but on this season of the show they just like provided a television. I wonder if that's new.
Yeah.
And then they do the classic like taking a long ass time to decide what to watch because it's like you're four strangers. Try not to like be too pushy.
But it does seem that like Ji-young and Mingyu have they like the same types of things. They seem to like animation stuff, and they have a little bit of connection there on what they like to watch.
Yeah, they both like anime, and I don't know if it was animated movies or just the types of movies they both liked were similar. So there was some bonding going on right in front of the other guys too. Mingyu's talking when it's relevant. Here we go. He's doing it. Yeah.
And then he just leaves. He just goes downstairs.
Yeah.
Because at some point the other girls go downstairs and
well, he doesn't leave before they
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So Jumi,
they go downstairs and then Jimin comes up and is like, "Hey, does anyone want to come eat with us?" And they're all like, "We already ate some food. You're very late."
Well, Jumi and Jimin like assume nobody's eaten yet. I guess they're not used to waking up so early. Maybe, I'm not sure. So Jumi's like, "Oh, I'll just make French toast for everyone." And then Jimin's like, okay, I'll go get them. And then they're like, yeah, we already ate. And except Ji-young didn't eat, right? Didn't she say this?
Yeah. And then Jimin's like, come on, come eat. And Ji-young's just like, no. I'd rather stay here with all the guys.
But the 3 guys are here, so yeah.
So
I'm gonna
no,
stay.
I'm gonna pass.
It looked like we were gonna get a good scene where like Jumi and Jimin like have to eat alone together.
We got a little bit of that, yeah.
We got a little bit, but they didn't talk much. But I was like, oh, this could be interesting because it felt like there was some tension between these two on the first night. But then yeah, Mingyu, I think he just decided that it was like too awkward to leave them alone together. What did you think?
No, I think it's he kind of likes Jimin and he's like, well, she's awake now. I'll go hang out with her.
I feel like it is kind of the right move. Like, even if you had no like major feelings, it's like, oh, I'm leaving the group with 1 girl and 3 guys to go hang out with me and just 2 girls, right?
Yeah. Definitely numbers wise, that's the winning move. Yeah.
Mingyu is doing it, man. I'm telling you. This guy. I'm loving Mingyu's work here.
All right.
So it's subtle, but just like perfect decision after perfect decision. Here we go.
Okay.
Also, I believe these are the girls that he texted so far, right? He hasn't texted Ji-young.
Yes, yeah. I believe so.
And you think he's more here to see Jimin than Jumi?
Yeah, especially given the rest of the episode. But
That's
yeah, I
true.
think at this point he's more interested in her.
Okay. Oh, and that's wondering, right? Should Ji-young be able to tell that the 2 guys that stayed with her in the playroom are the ones that texted her last night?
I would think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
She knows. Jumi seems very happy to see Mingyu when he comes down, though.
Yes. Well, she did text him, so that makes sense.
That's right. Okay. And Yumin agrees to eat French toast despite having already eaten. Let's go. This guy's on fire. He doesn't miss
that's another great move. Somebody wants to make you food. Yes.
This guy. He is just clutching up with these decisions. All right, the playroom people do eventually come downstairs. I don't feel like they watched an entire movie, but
no, I think
sure.
It was pretty quickly like, oh well, everybody's up now. Let's go hang out with everybody else. They may have never even started a movie, honestly.
Yeah. Also, a side plot in this episode is that Jimin has a cold.
Yes.
And had a fever 2 days ago, maybe?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, they let her. Must not have been COVID, I guess.
I guess, yeah. But it sounds like she went out last night to go get cold medicine and came back or something.
You think she left the house? I kind of couldn't tell.
That's what it kind of sounded like, yeah.
Okay. But then, like, she also, like, checked in on Jiwon to see if he was still awake, which I can't believe they didn't show us the footage from that. Like, how did that not make the edit of the show?
I don't know.
Maybe she didn't really do it, but then she just wanted to say to him that she did it, and then they didn't have video evidence that she did it. Maybe. You know. Also, this kind of explains why I think when she came in the house in episode 1, then one of the hosts said like, "Oh, she sounds nasally."
Oh yeah, that's right. That would make sense.
Oh, there you go. All right.
But yeah, so we have a little bit of like Jimin Jiwon conversation, but then like as soon as Ji-young comes down, like it feels like Jiwon's attention like fully goes back to Ji-young. Like he's kind of more interested in her.
Yeah, Jimin and Ji-won are talking, yeah, and then Ji-won gets distracted by Ji-young and kind of like yada yadas the rest of the conversation at that point. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And I believe Jimin notices this. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. She is super aware.
And then they all agree to go out somewhere for Ji-won's birthday, but then...
And they never do.
And then this is like, it was weird how it was explained. I'm assuming this stuff that happens is like a production activity, correct? The rest of this day?
Yeah, they had put up like 3 different like notebooks on a wall basically, and sort of like they were supposed to be like grocery lists or like things we need around the house.
But production put them there?
Yeah.
Okay. But then when they showed the list, like they hadn't written anything on them, so I was confused. Maybe like the production thought they would do more with the pieces of paper than they did or something.
Maybe. I don't know. Sure. I think there is a point in which like I think Ji-young writes some stuff down that they say they need. And like Gyorei had taken a list of what they needed the night before, so he like brings it up on his phone and they're like writing stuff down.
Okay.
But there's basically 3 different locations where they will get 3 different types of things that they need for the house, and they break into groups of 2 to have little shopping dates.
But this is very much a production orchestrated
Yes.
activity. Okay, that's what I was making sure. They basically are making them divide into 3 teams of 2 with a guy and a girl on each team.
Yes.
AKA 3 dates, right, Sarah?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Low stakes shopping dates.
Yeah. And then I don't know if production told them exactly how to decide them, but the guys and girls end up separating amongst themselves, and then they decide what location they want to go to, and then they match based on the location.
Yes.
But one of the locations is the same location, so
but there's
it's
like 2 different stores
so
there.
It's really just random. The idea is that it's random.
But there were like types of things. So like one of them is grocery shopping, one of them is daily necessities, and one of them is plants. I mean, I'm all about let's buy all the plants, but I'm not quite sure why this is a thing that they need to go out and do, but okay.
You actually got all those categories. I was like, I could not tell you what category was which location because
the one location is just nonsense. Like, it is a crazy store full of weird stuff, but that's the daily necessities store.
It's like little art pieces to like accentuate the house almost, wasn't it?
It was clocks, it was cups, it was stuffed Garfields, it was power strips and pins, and just
it was like decoration.
They also
stuff.
buy socks. Like, it's a weird bunch of stuff. And I'm not sure how they decide that that's the daily necessity they needed. Like, oh, we need clocks and pins and socks. Okay, yeah.
Okay. I was equally confused, and I'm glad you're on the same page.
It's just like a weird home decor store, I guess.
Yeah,
is what you would call
really,
it.
they just needed food, and then they came up with 2 more BS activities for the other 2 people to do.
Exactly.
All right, what teams do we get?
Okay, we get Jiwon and Jumi for daily necessities, aka the weird store of random shit.
Okay.
Actually, no, that's wrong. I wrote the wrong notes. They went to the grocery store, right? They went for groceries. They went for food.
Yeah, I also wrote them down as daily necessities because that's what the show.
That's what the show said, but
made
it was wrong.
But yeah, I gave up on trying to figure out what. I just was like, I'm just gonna see what happens.
They went to the market for food. There we go. Then we've got Mingyu and Jimin who go for plants, and then there's Gyeore and Ji-young who go to the weird store of weird stuff.
Yeah.
Or daily necessities.
So I assume they knew what store they were going to when they were choosing location.
Yeah.
All right. Which one are you choosing, Sarah?
Plant store.
Oh, you and me.
The plant
you
store
and
was
me
so
would
good.
be going on the plant date. Nice.
You haven't been to my house in a little while, but my houseplant situation has grown.
Oh,
so
okay.
I am currently super obsessed. And the moment I saw this store, I was like, I want to go to there, please. Let's go right now.
Yeah, definitely going to the plant store. That's the only store that would even interest me at all. Okay, but since 2 of the groups are going to almost the same place, they're going to ride in one car together, and then Jiwon and Jumi are by themselves in a car.
Yes.
Okay. I think we got it all straightened out now.
Yes, finally.
And Gyeore is going to drive the group of 4 this time. So
yes,
he's taking it now that he's not
been day drinking, so he can drive.
Yeah. Super awkward car ride with I think because Jiwon wasn't in the car, maybe like it probably would have been less awkward if Jiwon was there to start conversations.
He drives social interactions.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk a little about Jimin being sick, and then it's just really quiet for a while.
Well, Mingyu's like kind of bringing it up, right? Like he's making sure that she has enough medicine and for the day and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like checking on her. Yeah.
And then like there's quiet for a little while, and then she does a little throat clearing, and then they show Mingyu like noticing this, and then he's like asks them to turn off the defroster or whatever because it's very dry in the car. So
is that what it was? I missed why you asked that. Okay, yeah. See, this guy is just clutching up, dude. Come on.
He never like asks her or like says it's for her. He just does it.
Yeah.
To try to make it better. Yeah.
Yeah. This guy's on fire. Let's go. All right. All right. Gyaore and Ji-young, where are they going?
They're going to this weird store full of lamps and Garfields and
I wrote some
weird
sort
stuff.
of weird gift shop.
Yeah, that would probably also. Yeah. I was unsure why they needed any of this because I think they buy mugs, pins, power strips, and then the socks show up later.
We'll come back to Gyaore and Ji-young when they eat together.
Mhm.
Not much from the gift shop, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mingyu and Jimin, they are buying plants.
Hmm.
Herbs? Radishes? What kind of plants are these there?
Yeah, it does seem like there's some herbs, some like small vegetables. There's also like I think we later hear that they bought a dandelion plant. Like that's a weed, but okay, sure.
Oh, was it dandelion?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And then just some other nice greenery plants that don't, aren't edible or serve a function other than just being pretty.
Well, dandelions where we live are just like all over the place. So they're considered a weed.
Yeah.
But like if they didn't grow where you were,
That's
maybe
true.
they're not a weed.
Maybe. That's true.
Weeds are plants too, Sarah.
They are, but some of them are prettier than others, we'll say.
Okay.
It's just a weird plant to keep indoors because it's going to turn into a poof ball, and if you breathe too hard near it, it's going to fly all over your house. It's just, I don't know.
All right. It seems like they want to buy like a plant for each person.
Yeah.
I think they were instructed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And there is a moment where she's like, "Oh, I'll pick a plant for you," and it's like kind of cute.
Wasn't it the radish plant?
Well, she does start with the radish plant, but then at some point she's like, "Oh, we'll give that to somebody else. How about this plant?"
Okay. I did not follow exactly what plants they were getting. They're all like very small pots. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's weird to me that you would grow a radish inside, but maybe they were just like a different kind of radish than the one I'm thinking of. Or I don't know. Do you remember the radishes on Singles Inferno?
Oh yeah,
They
I
were
don't think these are gonna get those.
Those were huge.
I'm picturing the radishes I'm used to, which are real small.
Okay. Even just in this plant shop, though, I wrote like I really like these two together.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I've liked a couple as a couple faster than I've ever liked any other than Mingyu and Jimin on any of these shows that we watched. Like I'm really rooting for these two for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think it
Jimin
makes
has
sense,
shown
yeah.
no interest whatsoever, but
But
I'm
she
still
is-
interested. I still want it to happen.
I think she is good at dating though. Like she is good at having a good time, right? And at
Yeah.
least acting like present and interested in what's happening,
Yeah, like she's clearly interested in Jiwon, but she's not like treating this as if it's not a date.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
They're both respecting the situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good stuff.
And they're being cute together. I agree.
And then they walk off to go to lunch, and
Here's where your boy messes up.
Yeah, but then he saves it. Jimin says, "Don't walk so fast."
Because he is taller than her. We've talked about this before.
The translation of this, Mingyu's response to "Don't walk so fast" is, "I became a bad boy."
Oh, this is what he considers being a bad boy. Oh, such a
Yeah,
sweet, innocent boy.
there's so many different ways to interpret this English translation. I honestly do not know what tone or meaning or anything he meant behind this. I became a bad boy.
Yep.
That's great. So I think he's saved. I'm just going to assume he saved it.
But it would have been better if he had just from the start done the slow walking like we talked about before,
Yeah, and I mean, unless this was funny as shit, whatever he said, and then like he gets to show that he's funny.
I mean, yeah, it was
It
pretty
works
funny.
out.
And then it does like spawn in a conversation where she's like, "Oh, I want to know what type you actually are. Are you really a bad boy?" And he's like, "No."
Yeah.
He's just like, "No, I'm like the attentive type." So he gets to like, brag on himself a little
You
bit.
think when he said bad boy, he actually meant like, like a badass kind of like meaning?
or just like, like
what?
one of those aloof bad boys or something. I don't know.
I thought, see, like, to me, Mingyu is more of a type would be like, I have miscalculated. That was a bad move. Like, kind of bad boy, made a mistake.
Well, she sounds like she takes it like he meant like, oh, I'm such a bad boy, like
Yeah, okay. Uh, that that line's gonna be tough to beat the rest of the season.
it's pretty good.
I became a bad boy. Yeah, so they're gonna go to lunch, and then they're actually gonna talk about their MBTI types.
Yes. He is an INFP, and he's like, yeah, I had COVID for my birthday, and I had to quarantine, and it was the best.
Yeah, it was so nice when I like people were trying to get me to leave the house, but I was like, bro, I'm sick. It's awesome. I think I said on the Translove 2 podcast that I'm an INTP, but the T and the F are the one that I'm just like, whatever. 50-50.
I think this is mine. Is this mine?
Is this you? INFP?
I think so.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I could hardcore relate with that. Well, didn't have to go anywhere. I just quarantined for my birthday.
I think you're an INFJ.
Again, for me though, those last two flip around, I think. And again, I feel like all this MBTI stuff is nonsense, so I don't really buy into any of it, but
they're really going to focus on the introverted extroverted part of this.
yes, because she is an extrovert.
ESFP. And then Mingyu says, oh, most of my friends are EN, or what does he say?
Or at least extroverts. I don't know if the rest of it went together.
Yeah. I assume he said most of my friends are whatever she just said, but then I have in my notes different. So he says most of his friends are extroverts. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she talks about being attracted to people who are different from her. So
they both say that, I think.
Yeah.
Like even though like he, a lot of times would prefer to stay in, like he appreciates having friends that want to do things.
Makes him go out. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I feel. That's good. Yeah, I'm really liking these two.
Yeah. Seems like they're having a good time.
The way they're talking, like, they went to like some bakery cafe or something, and then they're just like sitting. They're sitting in seats that are like both leaned against the same wall, so they're like not facing each other, but then they're like turning to face each other, and they're both like leaning on the wall. I don't know. There's something very relaxed about it, even though it's like the first time they're hanging out.
Yeah. And I think like the way he looks at her is just like really cute. Like you can tell he's like starting to get really into her,
Yeah, I was feeling it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
She also has a dog named Bread, which I think is hilarious. I love it.
Bong.
Bong, yeah.
All right. Next is Jiwon and Jumi.
Yes. And they go to like this street market sort of area.
Yeah.
Even though it's indoors, but
they're gonna get food first, and the translation is fast food. But I feel like this is closer to like street food.
Yeah, street food, I think is better.
Because remember, it's Jiwon's birthday today.
Yes. And she wants him to get whatever he wants.
Yeah. Specifically like food wise, right? It's like she's basically like, this lunch is on me. Get whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And my God, do they eat a lot of food, Sarah?
Yes, they do.
I've never seen anybody eat so much food on these shows before.
And they bond over how they're just like to eat good food and don't really like worry about it too much. They're like, yeah, we'll exercise later. Whatever.
Yeah, they both are just like, yeah, I just exercise later. And then they both find out they're both planning to run the marathon next Sunday, which is the Seoul Marathon.
Yes. I'm not sure if they're actually going to or they were supposed to before they got casted or something.
Oh, I assume they're going to do it.
I don't know. We'll see if it's in the show. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd probably be like, almost halfway through the season at that point. But
yeah, so they have food and running in common. It's nice.
Yeah. Then Jumi is going to pull the not so cool move. She's going to pull the anti-Mingyu move here.
Oh, okay.
In my opinion. And she's going to say, because they're having a good time together or whatnot. Seems like having a good time. And Jumi says, don't you like hanging out with me?
I don't think that was a bad move. I think it didn't follow up well. I think like that there's a way you could say that is kind of like flirty and cute, but I don't know that she meant to or she didn't commit to being flirty with it,
It's not that it's necessarily a bad move. It's just like, to me, it's like a not cool move. It's like you're having a good time with somebody, and then it's like they need like the verbal confirmation that you're having a good time kind of thing. I mean, like it's probably coming off of the fact that she got no text, right? Do you think she would say this if she had gotten no text?
I mean, maybe. I think there's a way to say this that is kind of cute and flirty, where you're like, "Oh, are you having such a good time with me?" Like,
I guess so, yeah. But Jiwon's reaction is like, "What do you mean by that question?" So...
And then she like fully backs up, like, "Oh, I guess that could be taken a weird way. Oops, I didn't mean, and that not committing to it, I think, is what makes it less cool."
Oh, maybe, yeah. I mean, I think she said it and realized, like, oh wait, this is kind of an aggressive question.
But yeah, if you do that, you just gotta kind of go with it, Otherwise, it gets weirder, I think, to back off then,
Oh, okay. All right. I thought it was a little much, but...
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because I wrote down, actually, in my notes, do you think this is Jumi's real personality, or is she just rattled by the situation of being on the show and not getting any text? Like, is this something she would do on a first date in real life? I want to say no.
I feel like it's the awkward backing off is the bit that she wouldn't normally do, and then that comes from the insecurity of not getting any texts and the weird situation.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so they're gonna also buy food for the house, correct?
Yes.
That was their job. That was the real mission.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But then they go for like coffee and maybe more food. I forget if they actually eat anything there or not, but they spend some time drinking coffee and talking.
Actually, I wrote down again here. Jumi's personality really isn't doing it for me.
Really?
I guess I was really not feeling Jumi when I wrote these notes. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought she starts to come off a little cool here, where like she's wearing a ring, and he asks like if it means something to her, and she's like, "Oh, I made it. Like I went to a workshop and I like did this metalworking stuff," and I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
You're talking about the coffee place. Okay, I think I wrote that down before the coffee place, but yeah. Say it again. What happens at the coffee place?
Well, she's wearing a ring, and he asks her like if it has any special meaning, and I'm like, maybe he's asking like, is this a couple ring from before that you're still holding on to?
Oh, really? That's what you thought?
I don't know, maybe.
Okay.
But it turns out like she made it in like a one-day workshop thing. Like she went to go do like metalworking or something and like made her own ring. And I don't know. It seems pretty cool to me. I like making stuff. I don't know. I'm like, over the course of this, like I'm warming up to her. I hadn't felt anything particularly about Jumi before, but like, I don't know. She seems kind of cool.
Okay. There's no animosity in my end. It was just like I wasn't feeling her as like a character on the show yet.
Yeah.
But okay, my big take, Sarah, from this early on in this conversation. Oh my god, this bro cut himself cooking last night. I cannot believe this.
It's a requirement for these shows.
Unreal. I cannot believe this.
And we have the same thing where she's like, "Where's that Band-Aid I put on you?" And he's like, "Nah, I washed off." Like that is like basically word for word what happened in Transit Love.
Every Korean dating show, some bro injures himself cooking on the first night. It is without fail, right?
Advice for future bros on these dating shows. Maybe practice your knife work a little bit before you go and cook for the first time and cut yourself on the first night. Try to cook ahead of time. Get a little practice in.
Out of all the seasons we watched, have we not seen somebody? Singles Inferno 2, did somebody cut themselves?
Yeah, somebody injured themselves, right? No, somebody stepped on something. I think it was in cooking. That might be the exception. But Singles Inferno 1, Heart Signal 2, Transit Love 2, and now Heart Signal 4. So yeah.
Which is 4 out of the 5 seasons of these shows we've watched.
Yes.
Insane.
It's basically a requirement.
I thought we got through without one, and then bam, there it was.
No. I'm going to start believing that production puts in like a trick knife just so that way somebody purposely cuts themselves.
Or is it ridiculous. Yeah. Or do they just tell one of the guys to pretend that they got cut?
Like, wouldn't it be cute if some girl fawned over your, cut finger? Like, come on.
It's starting to feel like not real life, I'll be honest.
I am just convinced that the young men of Korea cannot cook. They're all real bad in the kitchen.
Or maybe they're just overconfident and they try they try cutting a fancy way, even though they've never really seriously cooked before. They're trying to show off or something, and then I don't know. Yeah. Okay, whatever. We'll move past it, but I'm keeping my eye on this trend. Like, this can't be every time. Okay. Overall, I just said they have a very pleasant back and forth conversation. G1 is very good at keeping the conversation going, I would say, in particular.
Yeah, he's real personable.
Yeah. And I would say G1 is so good at it that like Jumi will probably text him, right? Assuming this is like the major interaction of the day.
Yeah. Well, and you got to figure like these are dates. Probably going to assume most of these people are going to text each other, right?
Yeah. And I wasn't as convinced at first that G1 would necessarily text Jumi, but ultimately, like, there's a good chance you're just going to text the person you went on a date with.
Right.
But to me, I didn't think there were any like major sparks on this date. How did you feel?
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay.
Yeah. They just had a like okay time, but I don't know that
It felt more like it was a good conversation, but it felt more of just like G1's really good at this than anything else. Yeah. Jumi says she rarely cares about people's professions.
And she's never dated anyone younger, but now that she's on this dating show, she might.
A woman not dating anyone younger, though, is probably pretty common.
Yeah, but you know, when you're only in a house with 3 guys, sometimes sacrifices must be made.
On this show. Because I wrote no, watch her be older than all the guys. That's what I wrote. She has no choice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But she went as far as to say she's never even been attracted to someone younger than her.
Yeah,
that's an extreme statement.
That's stronger, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Maybe it's good, you know, this whole first 24 hours of not knowing people's ages.
How would you even know? Like, is she never even walked down the street and was like, oh, that guy's hot, and then didn't know his age? You know, like,
well, it's probably like she likes a more mature look, you know, like anybody who looks younger doesn't appeal to her.
Oh, okay. So like if she's attracted to someone, she just assumes they're older.
Probably, yeah. Or they at least present older, and that's the vibe she's looking for.
Okay. So I didn't feel any major sparks. The host really tried to sell us that G1 is like really into Jumi. I'm not buying it, but I did think like, oh, he might text her tonight.
Yeah. I thought he might text her, but just because of this is the person he spent the most time with today, and also just the weirdness of you go on a date with somebody.
Yeah.
However, like, weird and low stakes it is, you probably are going to text them.
Yeah. Okay. Gaorai and Ji-yun are eating now.
Yes.
At a bakery, I think. That's where they were.
Yes. And it's actually, like, pretty busy in there, you know? Normally, these shows, like, clear people out of the background. They did not do that this time.
I would say, like, both of them are, like, very good at listening.
Yes.
There's something about how Ji-young was conversing where, like he'd be saying something and then she would always, like, add something to it, but also repeat it in a way that, like, to show that she was listening to him. I don't know. There was something about how she was talking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I felt like he was also really good at listening to her.
Yeah, it seems like they have a pretty good conversation.
I don't know if it was necessarily an indication that they're only listening because they're both really into each other, or this is just how they are as people.
I feel like they are probably just both good listeners.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Especially from Ji-yun, I feel like it was just like this. Okay, this is how she converses. She's just good at it.
My initial take on this pairing is that she's probably at least a little into him, but I think he's more into her.
Oh yeah,
she is into him.
Oh yeah, he is into her
a fair amount.
Oh, by a fair amount. Okay, all right. Let's see. Gaorai says that he used to be more outgoing, but now he's not so much. The weight of the world has subdued his.
Yeah.
I feel that. I wouldn't say I was ever outgoing in my life, but I feel that.
But she says, like, she's experienced a similar thing, but that she also finds people with, like, big, vibrant personalities attractive.
Yeah.
So, which feels like, oh, maybe not so great for Gaorai here.
Yeah. But she uses the term, like, at least in the translation, like, I like people in their raw state. Which, what do you think that means? I wrote that it means, like, somebody who's, like, not shy and they, like, aren't afraid to, like, be themselves.
Yeah. Not, like, just being their authentic self and not, like, succumbing to the pressures of society to conform or whatever. Yeah.
Is this, like, really bad luck, though? Because, like, if he had never said that his true self was more outgoing and just, like, was the person he is now and she never knew about his past, would that be a more attractive thing for her? Maybe.
But I mean, she does seem to look for more like a brighter sort of maybe more outgoing person generally.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah.
He still is that, like, not really going for him.
Yeah. I wrote down Jian's ideal types because they're going to ask each other their ideal
Yes.
types here. Jian says, someone who can think for himself, someone with his own mind, someone with personality, and someone with his own colors. It's a lot of synonyms there, but
yeah.
Some decent answers though for the questions.
Yeah.
Didn't get into looks or anything.
Yeah,
some people
definitely.
do.
She's looking for that authentic, unique person who's like,
but still
a little outgoing.
Still, like big-ish personality, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. And then she says, "Oh, Gary, what's your ideal type?"
And then he just says nothing for a long while.
This was so hard to watch.
It was.
You could just like read his face, and I wrote this down in my notes before they switched to the host, and they're gonna say the same thing. Like I wrote in my notes, is he just gonna say you? Because like we've seen that before on these shows. Like some people are bold enough to say that, and he paused for like long enough that it just felt like he wanted to say it.
But then talked himself out of it.
I honestly was, in this case, I was actually rooting for him to say that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like I think in other seasons where somebody says it, I'm like, that's a little cringe. But here I was like, say it, dude.
She wants like somebody who's authentic and like kind of outgoing. Like I think she would have appreciated it if he could have pulled it off.
It's like you're not going to get a better setup to ever say that.
Yeah.
Because it's like she's basically said like, yeah, like I just want somebody to be honest, basically. But it is like also it's kind of, they don't know the age thing here too is a little weird. I think could be influencing this a little bit.
Okay, that's fair. But like we find out that he's the oldest person in the house later, right? Like, so he's got to assume at his age that he's probably older than
so he's going to assume that he's older than her. But I think it's not only that, but there's this like pressure from the production standpoint to like not give away that you're older than somebody.
Okay.
So I don't know if he had all those calculations in this pause that he had or not, but
yeah,
even if it's obvious the age difference between two people, there's still this pressure to not give away that you're older.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, he finally says someone with a pretty smile, which is like the most boring generic answer you could give.
That would have been fine if it was just like the first thing he said and then he like added onto it and said like 3 more things like Jian did, but then he at least from what we saw, he just stopped right there. And that was the end of it. And damn it.
Big fail.
Oh no. Did he blow it here, Sarah? Is it over?
I don't think it's over, but he could have done so much better.
Don't you just want to see Mingyu in this spot and what he would have said?
Yeah, he would have said something good.
I don't know what he would have said, but it definitely would have been better than this.
It would have been something based on something he observed her doing or saying earlier. It would have been great.
Sneaky ass shit. It would it just seemed like he was. If we assume like honorifics had nothing to do with it, like it just seemed like he was just too embarrassed to say.
Yeah, that's what it seems like it was. Yeah,
but it really seems like he really likes her, but just didn't have the courage to say it. Basically.
Yep.
I agree. Which we've said, but I wrote down like this sucks because she basically was just saying she would like someone that was honest and not shy, and then he just like
let me be the opposite of that real fast.
Doesn't say the truth and is super embarrassed and shy. Yeah. Damn, bro. Oh, that was so rough to watch. Damn it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, dates are done already. They were just some quick dates there. That was good.
Everybody's back at the house.
Okay, wait. I wrote something down here before they get back to the house.
Okay.
I wonder if you caught this. So for like transitions or different moments in the show, whatever, they play a lot of songs in the show. And a lot of the songs have
they're all in English.
They're all in English. Yeah, they all have English words. Okay. But this song they played on the way back to the house. Yes. Did you notice this?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but it definitely like said motherfucker there. I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing, guys?
In English, it's at one point in the song, the line was, "It's a motherfucking party." And it was not censored at all.
Nope. Oh,
Do you think that
yep.
aired on like maybe it
I
doesn't
think it
matter, but
absolutely no, it's a thing that would matter. I think if it was in Korean, they would have censored it, right? Or they would have never picked that song.
do you
But
think it was censored on
no,
Korean television? And
I
then
don't
on
think so.
viki.com it was uncensored? You don't know. Okay.
I feel like it's one of those things like maybe the person picking music doesn't know English that well, or it just, slipped by and
It was important though cuz it's Jiwon's birthday tonight and it's a mother party.
there.
All right. They get back and it's time to make dinner already. This day is going by
Yes.
quick.
And it's Jiwon and Jumi are cooking together, even though it is his birthday.
Yeah. But it's actually like one guy, one girl make dinner together, which I feel like is the rule that is stated on the show and never gets followed. But they're
Yes,
actually doing that.
absolutely.
Like everyone else
Yeah.
is like waiting at the table while they're making dinner. Like they're not even
Just
offering to
kind
help.
like eavesdropping on them
Yeah,
while
they can
they're
hear their conversation from.
this is where they're like, "Oh, they're speaking casually to each
Yeah, they're like, oh,
other."
those two. They must have had a good date earlier.
We do get a taste test feeding happening here. She gives him a spoonful of
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
So there you go.
the hack, nice. And then Jimin's gonna get a little weird here.
Yeah.
She randomly just says, I mean, the table people are being kind of quiet and awkward. And then she just
Hmm.
kind of, not really to anybody, but also to everybody, says, like, what do you guys like on your birthdays?
Yes. And no one answers, and she doesn't really wait for anything.
Yeah, and she just gets up.
And then she just leaves.
Yeah.
But we do see Mingyu noticing, because again, he notices everything. And then she eventually makes her way to the kitchen and stands between Jiwon and Jubi the whole time.
Yeah.
Not helping, just being there, kind of talking.
She's basically announcing to, like, everybody except G1 and Jumi, I guess, that she is into G1,
Thinking
kind of.
about Jiwon. Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
much.
Because I think she does say earlier, like when they first get back to the house and they're showing off everything they bought, she's like, "Oh, I was gonna buy you a gift and I forgot. I'll do it tomorrow," or something like that.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
it's like still stewing with her, like what she should get him for his birthday.
Yeah, maybe she actually is, like, really, like, grappling with that mistake. Maybe that's
Yeah.
what's really bothering her. Yeah, she goes, hangs out in the kitchen. Eventually, G1 actually asks her, was it not fun over there at the table?
And she's just like, "Yes, it's fun, but I just wanted to check things out over here. Yeah, that's what it is."
The question seemed to really catch Jimin off guard.
Yeah.
But what's funny about it is, like, this is probably something she expected Jumi to say to her.
Yeah, exactly.
But then Jiwon said it to her. And then I wrote, damn, that's not a good sign for
Yeah.
Jimin's perspective. If Jiwon is like, like, it's a little bit of, I don't know if he really meant it this harshly, but it's a little bit of like, hey, I'm having a good time with Jumi over here. Like,
Yeah.
why did you come over here? I guess it wasn't fun over there.
Hmm.
But she doesn't get deterred. She just lingers longer in the kitchen anyway.
Oh, yeah.
doesn't
She is
care.
not one to get deterred at all. She knows what she's going for and is going to keep positioning herself in between them the whole time.
And then eventually Jumi does double down on this and says to Jimin, oh, were you bored? Why did you come here?
It feels less tense than it did the night before, though.
I wrote that down too. I said, like, this actually came across a lot more playful than it did the previous night. Because she said this while, like, touching and, like, playing with her hair, I feel like, in a way that, like, okay, they've, gotten closer in the
whatever
the second
weird
and
stuff
first
was
day.
happening yesterday is no longer happening now.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. We don't even watch them eat. They just skip right over that.
It was a very interesting scene. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching
Yeah,
Jimin. I'm into this season, Sarah. This was
Yeah, this is pretty good. I like this, the dynamics that are coming into play.
Jimin and
good.
Mingyu are fun to watch for me so far. All right. It's time to reveal occupations. Let's go.
But with a twist, they had to bring an object that represents them or their job. It seems like everybody took the prompt a little bit different, but they all brought something with them.
You did get this far in Heart Signal too, right? I think you did. I think I'm remembering that they showed like pictures of them as children in the Heart Signal
Yeah,
too.
yeah, something like
Which
that.
like some people kind of did that same thing and other people didn't. So they changed it a little bit where they had them bring an object, like any object they wanted,
Yeah.
instead of specifically childhood pictures, which I still did not understand why that was a thing in Heart Signal too. It's also really like I don't really know why it's a thing here. It's like they want to film a segment where everybody tries to guess their occupation.
Yeah, but that sort of didn't happen here, yeah.
Yeah, it's not really fun to do it without hints, so they're like, "Hey, bring some hints so people can guess." Like
Yeah.
this needs to be a segment of the show. I didn't even write down everybody's object, only a couple of them, because I didn't think it was particularly interesting. What did you?
I wrote down everything.
You wrote down everything? Okay. All right, G-Min's gonna go first.
Yeah, she brought this sketchbook from when she was in 7th grade that she used to introduce herself in 7th grade. So she's like, I'll use it to introduce myself now as an adult.
Very weird decision to me.
But there's like, she opens it up and it's a page with like some photos of her from when she was a kid. And she reads the things she wrote in there. And apparently she studied abroad in India for 2 years when she was in like 4th grade. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's so young to like just go abroad by yourself.
She persuaded her parents to let her go study in India, and like her parents did not go with her.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess okay. So this is from 7th grade. This object, it's probably like when she came back to Korea, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes more sense. I understand what she's going for here. Yeah, that's a crazy excursion to do in 4th grade.
Mhm.
Cannot imagine.
Nope, not at all. Does not help me guess what her job is, though. Not either.
She wraps it up by saying, "I enjoy facing challenges." All right, interesting individual here, G-Man.
Mhm. I think it was good that like it gave you some insight into her and about her life a little bit, which was nice, but it did not help me figure out what her job was.
Oh yeah, I feel like this season more than any that we've watched, like I really didn't spend much time thinking about what these people's ages and occupations were. I thought G-Man might be like in like an athletic field or something. That was like a guess I made, I think, in the last podcast. But I think that's the extent of any thought I actually put into this.
I think it's because like the personalities we've gotten so far are pretty interesting, and like people were being interesting, and that you didn't need to think about those other things.
That might be
They
it.
went
Yeah,
super super shy. Like Jimin out of the gate is like trying to put herself in positions to know people and like get them to pay attention to her. Like she's doing the work. Mingyu's like pulling out some sweet lines about being a bad boy, you know?
Yeah.
People are doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So I think that, I don't know, you don't really have to think about that stuff, They're showing their personality in other ways.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I feel like a scene was taken out, but they like show it here. Like we didn't see it before, where everybody kind of already thought Jimin was like very young. And
yeah,
they already predicted that she was a college student and she had to like
pretend
keep
that
a
she
straight
wasn't the
face.
youngest. And but yeah, so she's 24 and she is currently a college student, double majoring in Chinese and English literature, and she's thinking of doing grad school. So she knows like a million languages, seems crazy smart, and ridiculous.
Yeah. She also goes to an all-women's university. Is that what they said?
Yes.
Okay. So then everybody gets a little like occupation montage. These are usually pretty good. Yeah.
And we see her like speaking English and speaking Chinese and
yeah. And then the hosts speculate like, oh, she probably knows Hindi or at least one of the languages native to India too.
Yeah.
So she potentially knows like 4 or 5 plus languages, something insane.
Yeah.
But in the very beginning of her montage, this is the only comment from the hosts I wrote down. Because she's like in her school attire and like walking on campus with her books.
Yeah.
And then one of the hostess says she is totally a hot college student.
I mean, they're not wrong, but that's a weird thing to say.
I think it was the older woman host. I think so. It's
that makes it a little bit better.
I don't think like Sangmin would say that.
But yeah, her look in that montage was, I feel like, pretty different from her look in the house right now.
Oh, really? Okay. Maybe that's why they said it. I just thought it was a really bold thing to say.
It really was.
She's currently completing her final semester,
Yeah.
so she's about to graduate. and she's thinking about going to grad school, I believe.
Yeah.
Didn't get into like
What she wants to
career she
do.
wants to do.
Yeah.
And she thinks she's the youngest out of everyone, right?
Yes.
Or she agrees with everyone that she's the youngest out of everyone.
Yeah.
And she picks Galray to go next. Do you want to pause here and talk about the honorific stuff a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. So she's 24.
Yes.
Right. I think she's at least like 4 years younger than everybody else on the show.
Yeah.
We're going to find out.
Right. And even like that's the closest guy. I think she's like 5 or 6 years younger than the next woman, even.
Yeah. So for listeners that have been with us for a while, a lot of our listeners joined in with us when we were doing Singles Inferno 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's a listener right now who's found our podcast for Singles Inferno 2 for the first time and is leaving like extremely lengthy and detailed comments and analysis on specific things that we talked about in each episode of the podcast.
Yes. It is a font of information I've never had before.
Mr. Rock and Rock, I believe, on YouTube is doing this for us. Yeah. And I assume it's a he, I don't know. But he's giving us some good insight onto the like more of the nuances of the honorifics and how they can affect situations. And he specifically mentioned this date that happened early on in Singles Inferno 2 where this guy appeared to me to be like maybe being a little pushy, but like he was just asking like fairly normal questions that happen on these shows. And then the girl like just was giving either very short answers or like almost wasn't responding at all in a very like awkward way. And Mr. Rock and Rock kind of explained how the honorifics were kind of like the main driver of this because they both just knew that like he was way older, even though they hadn't revealed their ages yet.
Yeah.
And because she doesn't want to be disrespectful and because she doesn't want to give away that she's younger or because she's not supposed to.
She wants to follow the rules of the show. Yeah.
Absolutely cripples her ability to even have a conversation.
Yeah.
Like if he is like, oh, do you like this? And then you answer the question, like she can't even come up with a way to like respond with, oh, do you like that also? Like, because she can't use like the word you, whatever the translation of that is. So she ends up like has these kind of awkward ways of communicating because she's trying not to be disrespectful, but not give away that she's younger. And then I feel like that also makes the other person feel a certain way about that person because they're communicating in a weird way.
Yeah, it is a difficult situation.
Now that I've had that explained to me a bit more in the last couple weeks, like I feel like that's kind of what Jimin was going through in the first episode. What do you think?
Yeah.
She knows the two girls are older than her. I think she's going to say that later in this episode.
Yeah.
And like they're talking to each other about whatever in the room, and like she's just like not contributing to the conversation at all because I think she's just like can't come up with a way to say anything without using the or being respectful to the girls that are older to her, and then also not giving away that she's younger. Yeah. So she's just sitting there and not saying anything.
Yeah, like there's a moment in the last episode where I think Jumi says something very similar to her in the kitchen that she said this time because she wasn't like participating in cooking. She's like, are you just standing there? You're not going to help? And she's like kind of teasing her, but like Jumi she doesn't say anything and she just walks away. And it seems really tense and awkward, but it's potential that the awkwardness is actually coming from this language barrier, basically.
Yeah. And even like Jumi's decision to say something like that to Jimin theoretically could be like, oh, she wouldn't have said that to somebody
older than her.
Yeah. So she's probably also aware that Jimin is probably younger and is treating her differently than she's treating Ji Young because it's more clear what the age division is. Yeah. So now once they're going to learn everybody's ages, I feel like Jimin's relationship with the women is totally going to change. Like she can actually
way
talk
more
to
comfortable
them the way she's supposed to. So I think paying attention to Jimin after this episode and how she acts with the women, I think she'll be totally different.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Super interesting for us, at least to me.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, same. I appreciate this extra insight.
I had a pretty good understanding of the rules, but not necessarily all the nuances of that.
And the like implications of that. Yeah.
And I also never really thought about how the show might be telling them, like, hey, don't use the honorifics to give your age away, even if you think you're right.
Yeah.
Which is definitely makes it very weird.
And just like how foreign of a situation it is to not know someone's age. Like, I feel like pretty early on in most meeting people in Korea, like they figure out who's older like immediately. So that way they know how to talk. And not being able to do that is a weird situation they wouldn't normally ever be in.
Something to think about if you're a young person going on these shows. What's my strategy going to be? Like, you just prepare, like, I know I'm going to be in this situation. How can I talk? Maybe there's no answer. I don't know. Honestly.
I don't know what the right answer is.
Okay, let's move on with the occupations. The way they're going to do this, they're going to have the person that went picks who goes next. So I was a little bit surprised here, though. Jimin picks Galray to go next. Doesn't pull the, I'm going to pick the person I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he pulls this chonky device up and puts it on the table. And like, everybody's just like, what is that? And it's eventually somebody smells it and figures out it has something to do with coffee.
Yeah. I thought it did look like a coffee grinder, but it was weird. Like, the cup was like very small, because it turns out it's just a grinder for sampling coffee. Like, you would only put like a handful.
I think it also roasts it or something. I don't know if it grinds
like
it or roasts
process.
it, but I think it might be something along those lines.
Okay.
Because he develops and distributes specialty coffee, and he is the CEO of a food and beverage company. They don't say that he started it and that he's the only employee, but I think those things may be true.
They say food and beverage company, but I guess that's just like a category of company. But it seems like he only deals with coffee, right?
Yeah. And it seems like maybe he's the only one that works there. Yeah.
Oh, you think so?
Because we don't see anyone else, theoretically. We see some people that he's in a meeting with, but it's like he's consulting with them to make a blend for their company. I don't think we see him with any like fellow employees of his situation. But I guess he also has cafes that he runs, maybe?
Yeah, I think he has.
So those would have
I think he's doing pretty well for himself here in terms of like having an official business.
Yeah. He is being successful.
So he has his own roastery, which he goes to every morning at 7 a.m., they say, right?
Yes.
And so I imagine he's not doing all the roasting himself. Like, he has people for that, and he just shows up to check on things. I don't know. Maybe not.
Maybe. I don't know. We don't see people, but that doesn't mean anything.
But here we go. He won the 2017 Brewers Cup in Korea.
Yes.
And got to represent Korea in an international brewing competition. That's insane. Okay.
And he's been like at this for like 9 years because he is 35 and everyone is absolutely shook by this information.
This was the big shocked face that was in the preview from last episode. It wasn't his occupation, it was his age. 35 is up there. I think this is the oldest person we've ever seen.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe we've seen like a 34. Usually like 32 is
I think
around the oldest.
Somebody in season 1 of Singles Inferno was like 34 maybe.
Oh, it was a woman was 34, I think. Actually. Yeah. Everyone thought he was under 30 years old. And Jiwon especially.
He thought he was the youngest. So
but the youngest out of everybody there, right? Or out of all the guys. Yeah.
Or at least the guys, yeah.
And we're going to find out later Jiwon is 28. So he thought he was less than 28.
Yeah.
That's exactly. That's as far off of a guess anybody's ever made on these shows, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And not like even a fake, like, oh, I'm going to guess a young age to like flatter you or whatever. Just a legitimate, oh God, this guy is way older than we thought. But
no big deal, really. Like, Yaorei's not offended by it, but it does prompt Jiwon to immediately apologize.
Yes. Nice little formal handshake of just, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Galray is going to pick Ji Young to go next. That makes sense.
And she brings out a cassette tape, like a VCR tape, that I feel like a lot of young people watching today will be like, what is that even for? But she then plays like a digitized version of what's on this tape. And it's like a school play she was in kindergarten or something.
I think it's Snow White.
Yeah, it looks like it's Snow White. It's definitely like somebody eats an apple and passes out.
Yeah. But she's playing Snow White. She's like the lead
Yeah,
character.
she's the lead. Yeah, and then there's just some other shots of her as a kid, and again, this has nothing to do with her job. This is just her when she was a kid. She was a flight attendant for 7 years, but now she's learning about branding at an interior architecture company. So
Yes.
career shift.
She's trying to shift careers currently. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she's 29.
Yeah, earlier in the day, she told the guys when they were alone together, she told them she has to get up at 5 a.m. and then she won't be back until 10 p.m. the day after tomorrow. Is that what she said?
Is that what she said?
I thought she was like, but that makes sense. Like if you're a flight attendant, you know, you might have like a really long.
Oh, I think it was two separate things. It's like tomorrow I have to get up at 5, but then the day after I won't even be home until 10. Like I don't think she'd be gone for the entire time between.
Okay. And I was wondering, like, is this like, oh, this is my normal schedule, but maybe not for the show, or is this like literally tomorrow I have to get up at 5 a.m.? I don't know.
Yeah, unclear.
On a Sunday. Okay, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how long Ji Young is missing from the show. All right, Ji Young picks Mingyu to go next.
And he has just a bunch of different magazines. There's a science magazine. There's some like medical, technical magazine. There's something about cars. Mm-hmm. And everybody's just like, what does this even mean?
Yeah. They show a flashback of him at the plant place. And he's like doing some like conversion from like milliliters to liters in his head.
Yeah.
Like, really fast. So bro's good at math, basically, is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. And I think Jimin was then like guessing that he was like an engineering degree or something like that. But he says that these are all things he studied within the last year. And that still does not help anybody.
That's crazy to think about, yeah. I mean, this is a job title that you would never guess.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So he works in strategy consulting, where he comes up with strategies for corporations for like mergers or like new products or all sorts of things.
Marketing or whatever.
Yeah. So he's got to like learn about these super specific things and then is able to come up with stuff in a field he didn't know anything about like a month ago.
This is an amazing job.
Yeah.
Also, have the job title of strategy consultant just sounds amazing.
That does seem like something you would enjoy.
Yeah. He's basically just like some smart guy that people just acknowledge as smart, and they're like, "Hey, I know you know nothing. You know nothing about this subject or our business, but can you just like study it for like a month and then tell us what to do?" That's basically what his job seems like.
Yep, pretty much.
Pretty insane.
But yeah, he is 31, and I thought he was a teeny little baby, and he is not.
I did not put any thought. I was even surprised that Jimin was so young because I literally hadn't thought about it.
I just thought he was the youngest of the guys.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, that would make that. I probably would have guessed that too.
And they actually show a shot of Ji-won just like realizing now that he is the youngest man, and he's just like, I've had everything wrong.
Yeah. And Mingyu picks Jumi to go next,
and she brings out a like drum pad and some drumsticks. And then, like, these little rubber thimbles.
I had no idea what she was going for. But then once, what's so funny is, like, they went to the host trying to guess a little bit, too, throughout the segment. Once one of the hosts said lawyer, I was like, oh, shit, it's definitely lawyer. Like, just, like, the way there's something about the way she's kind of acted. Once they guessed that she was a lawyer, I was like, that's gotta be what it is.
But don't you think she's a cool lawyer though? Because like, okay, so she's got these drumsticks because that's her hobby. Like one of her hobbies is drumming, and that's pretty cool. And then when they show her working, there's actually like a musician, like a somewhat famous musician who comes in that she's like consulting with for her job. So it seems like she's maybe in like copyright or entertainment law. Like she didn't say what it specifically was, but it sounds like she's in a cooler law field. I don't know. I came out of this going, oh, yeah, Juby's so cool.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Once it was becoming like, oh, she's going to be a lawyer, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Okay. Now I see why I've had these feelings this whole time.
See, I was like, ooh, lady drummer. This is amazing.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And she is 30.
Yeah. I think she said she was with a firm for like 3 years, but now she's a freelancer.
Yes.
And then G1's last.
Yes, and he brought photos of him running and then like 2 running medals.
Yeah. Humble brag.
Yeah, yeah.
Not so much.
And this again has nothing to do with his job because he's a doctor or a medical intern, I guess is probably more appropriate.
Impossible to guess based on this clue.
Yeah, yeah. And he is 28. And everybody's like, ooh, a doctor. So fancy.
Yeah. How does that work? Are interns doctors or are they becoming doctors?
The translation said he's a doctor working as an intern. Who knows how accurate that is?
Okay.
But he's at a university hospital, so it sounds like a teaching, learning hospital. So it feels like I would equate that to being like a resident, like it's on the path of becoming a full-blown doctor.
Okay.
At least that's what I interpret it as.
Anything else from the occupation age reveal? Major feelings changes.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, Jumi's so cool.
Wow, we are not on the same page with Jumi. Okay, this is fun.
No, we aren't, but that's okay.
You're saying she's cool. I like that vibe. I'm basically like,
You take her or leave her, doesn't really matter, right?
Could we have casted somebody better? Not like, oh, I hate this person, but
yeah.
It's not like that, yeah.
But with this like landscape of ages, I was just like, I wonder how Jimin feels right now. Like if she feels really awkwardly too young.
This is a pretty high average age, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's the youngest by what, like 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
So
I think it's fine. Once she knows, once their ages are out, I think she's going to be fine.
Okay.
And the way worst spot to be in is if like you were a 24-year-old guy and everybody else was 4 years older than you, you'd be dead in the water on the show, right?
Yeah, but like I think it does like limit some things. Like you think she's really going to go for Gyorei, who's like 11 years older than her? Probably not. And then like even Mingyu's like 31 and that's a chunky age difference. I don't know. It just felt like, oh, it's lucky that she was already into G1 because he's the closest in age to her. Yeah. Maybe the only one that makes that a little bit of sense.
And then it's time for the G1 birthday party. It's a mother party.
Basically, there's a cake, and they make him wear a pointy hat, and they take pictures of him.
They didn't actually get too much into it because, more importantly, it's time to text people. And this is how this show ends every time, texting people, unlike some other show that we're watching right now.
Yes, it's very consistent, this show. Again, we take forever to have the host guess who's going to text whoever, whatever, ignore that part of the show.
Yes. In 1 minute, I guessed all these correct. How about you?
I got Jumi wrong. I said she was gonna text G1, and she texted Gyorei.
Oh, you know what? I actually got that wrong too. I got confused by the reveal.
Yeah, they did it in a weird order.
Yeah, somehow Sangmin gets this right, and I don't understand actually how they got it right.
It's weird. They used some logic
some
of like
backward ass shit, yeah.
When she was the first woman in the house, and then it was Mingyu and Gyorei who were there, and she was looking at Gyorei a lot. But last episode they used that as a like, oh, she won't look at Mingyu because she's into him. Whereas this time they're like, oh, she kept looking at Gyorei because she must have been into him. And I'm like, you can't. Which is it, guys?
I think the logic was more of like she texted Mingyu. And then
he didn't text her back.
So she's like, well, that's not going anywhere. She went on a date with G1.
She didn't particularly vibe with,
Felt like, it wasn't anything, no sparks with G1. So there's only one person left. So she's just like, it's not necessarily that she's having any major feelings for Gyorei, but she just feels like the other two options.
Gonna try the next
one. Yeah. Yeah. Before they reveal the text, though, they show a bit of a segment of the women in their room again. And they're like way friendlier now already.
Yeah.
Like now she's like, I knew you guys were my whatever the word is. What's the word?
Unis, I think.
Unis, okay. Yeah. She's like excited to be able to use the proper honorifics with them and start to actually talk to them. So I think it's all good. I think the women.
Yeah, all that tension from last episode is gone.
Yeah,
everything's fine.
Yeah. All right, Jimin gets a text, Sarah.
I'll raise it by watering it well.
All right, solid text, right, Mingyu?
Well, yeah, I'd say it's solid, except it's kind of ruined by the fact that everybody, like, they picked out plants for other people, so, like, anybody they gave a plant to could have texted her.
That's true. A little miscalculated there. It could.
Yeah.
Most likely she knows it's Mingyu, but
Yeah.
yeah, she would guess it's Mingyu. All right, Jiyeon gets a text.
I hope you find your new dream. I'll support your future.
That's a
This
good
is Gyo
text.
Ray.
That's a solid text.
It is a good text, but again, doesn't particularly indicate who it's from.
It doesn't indicate who it's from. Yeah, that's true.
But it is a nice thing to say to someone. So
Yeah.
there you go.
I mean, she did have like a vulnerable moment where she revealed her change in career to a group of strangers.
Yeah. But any of those group of strangers could have sent her this text is the only problem I have with it.
I guess, yeah. I would prefer to say something nice than just say something to make it obvious as me.
Yeah. But ideally, you could do both.
Yeah, that's true. And this is Gyo Ray.
Yes.
Jumi gets a text also. All the women get one text. Let's go.
Yay. I'm glad I learned a new side of you today. Have a good day tomorrow, too. This is Jiwon.
Not a great text.
Yeah. Again, could have been anyone.
Yeah, I think it indicates it's him, though, because they went on the date. So I don't know if anybody else would have texted that.
That's true, but you could also interpret that as, oh, I found out you're a really cool drummer today. That's exciting. Like, anybody also could have. So, like, again, a little too generic on some of these, but okay.
It's
fine.
all right. Not the worst.
Mhm.
And that's from G1. So,
Yes.
all the girls getting a text.
Happy birthday. I'm glad we spent your 28th birthday together. You're going to work early tomorrow. Sleep well and let's have dinner together. Good night.
Okay,
that's from Jimin.
That's a great text.
It is a step up from those emojis she sent yesterday that told no one anything.
That's got to be the longest text I've ever seen anybody send on these shows.
It's pretty long.
Also, is she asking him out on a date in this text? Let's have dinner together.
But per the rules, they are supposed to all have dinner together anyway, so.
Yeah, but like, let us have dinner together.
That's true.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Jimin would be that bold.
But he can't respond, so.
He can't respond, but
kind of hard to.
It's like
follow up on that.
Saying something bold, but you don't have to be there to really confront the situation.
That's true.
All right. And then Mingyu is going to get 0 texts because Gyo Ray is going to get 2 texts from Jiyeon and Jumi.
It's I'll come over for a decaf soon. Thanks for today. That was Jiyeon.
Oh, you actually know that's Jiyeon. Okay, I was going to. How do you know that?
Yeah. Because she said thanks for today. That meant they hung out today.
Okay, yeah. All right, I buy that.
And the other one is your introduction made an impression. Good night. So that was
you read that in the flirtiest way possible. Your introduction made an impression. Good night.
Well, that's how it felt to me.
That is pretty much how Jumi talks all the time. So.
It's just, I don't know. There's not a lot of flair in this text.
That's that lawyer talk right there.
It's not like I was impressed by your introduction. It's just like, you brought a big chunky machine. Good job. I don't know.
All right.
So yeah, that's it. Those are the texts. End of episode.
End of episode. Okay, wow. Okay, we're back. And we're going to talk about episode 3 now.
Yes.
Now it's Sunday night on the East Coast in the US. The episode did release on Friday.
Yes.
Friday night time for us. Yes. Terrible night for me because I am busy Friday night and Saturday night, and usually during the days I'm also busy. So we won't be able to record immediately after the episodes come out. So we'll be a little late on these, but we'll get them out before the following episode is released. Yeah. That's our goal for these Heart Signal episodes. Unfortunate switch in the time slot.
Just messed everything up.
Yeah, but we'll get through it. We'll be all right. Okay, are you ready to jump right in, Sarah, into episode 3?
Let's get to it.
Okay, it's still night 2.
Yes, just for a little bit.
Yeah, and I wrote immediately, like, already the women are in like a way more normal mood with each other, I would say, after these age reveals. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I am chalking up the entire first episode weirdness to honorifics shenanigans.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's fair.
And then I have there's a bit of a competition for who wants to do the dishes the most. everybody wants to be the one that, or maybe, I don't know if anybody wants to do the dishes, but everybody is trying to
Feels
be
obligated,
nice and be like,
maybe.
no, I'll do the
Yeah, yeah.
dishes. No, I'll do.
Well, and particularly like the next day, people are going to work for the first time, and we know at least two of the guys have to get up at ridiculous hours.
Yeah.
So I think Gyorei is down doing the dishes, and he's one of the early riser boys. And Jumi jumps up and she's like, "No, no, 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 no! Let me do it. Go to bed. Go to sleep, sleepy boys."
Yeah, Jumi wins this competition of who insists to do the dishes the most.
Yes, yes.
But then somehow eventually Mingyu is going to end up helping her a little bit.
Yeah, she keeps telling him to go too, but he doesn't listen, and they seem to have a little bonding time while they're doing the dishes.
Mingyu said he had time off, but he's like gonna go to work. But I feel like he like doesn't have any major projects, so I don't know what he's doing at work if he is going to work. I feel like Mingyu doesn't have a real schedule right now. He's just leaving the house and
Yeah.
coming back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he's going to be
definitely.
super flexible, which we'll find out later. So even if he is tired, I don't think he really cares. I think
Yeah, exactly.
Mingyu is like here to be invested in the show, pretty much. Is
Which
how
is
I
good.
feel. Yeah.
I mean, we get G1, who is our medical intern, who is we find out he's gonna have like a 24-hour shift or something, and like how are you supposed to be on this show if you have if you're gonna be out of the house for that long? Like
Yeah.
that just seems like such a huge disadvantage.
G1's sleep schedule is inspiring to me. I wish I could operate on no hours.
No,
sleep.
no. This should not be inspiring. You should feel bad about this. No. 3 hours of sleep is not good.
I feel bad for him, but I'm also inspired. Like I wish I didn't have to sleep. I could just do things all the time.
See, that just scares me because I'm like, none of the doctors and nurses anywhere ever have sleep. This isn't safe. What have we built as a society? I'm so
Don't they
confused.
take? I was wondering about this. Don't they take like naps or at least get like breaks? I mean, it's
I
not like
think
full
so,
sleep,
but it's not going to be quite as restful or continuous as you would hope for. And I don't know. I just
Yeah.
feel like the system could
It's
be better.
crazy. Yeah, it's definitely crazy.
And it definitely makes it hard to date on this reality show.
Yeah, it's kind of insane that he's doing this and also on the show.
Yeah.
But Jumi and Mingyu are doing the dishes, and
Mhm.
they've only recently found out each other's ages. So like some of them are still using honorifics. Weirdly enough, I don't know if this is how common this is, but Jumi, despite being younger, is telling Mingyu that they should drop the honorifics, or almost just like telling him he should drop the honorifics. It didn't seem like a discussion, really, did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think given the context of we're all going to be dating each other in this house, you could be a little bit bossier and be like, let's just be casual about this, please.
But it seemed like Mingyu wanted to like work into it, and then throughout like them doing the dishes and conversing, it went from like formal to informal over the course of the conversation, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, he just had to work his way up to it.
And that was the last major event before the end of night 2.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Day 3. And they're going to be going to work today. All right.
Yes.
Sometime shenanigans are going on already, right, Sarah?
Yeah, we didn't have to watch the early boys leave. Nobody was around to film them.
Not just that. It's like they came in, the show started on Friday. Then we were like, okay, the next day is Saturday. They don't have work.
Mm-hmm.
And then they all have work on Sunday, but I don't think it's Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now, I don't know if it's a day off or what they're doing here, but I even think it might be possible that they filmed a day and then was like, whatever the storylines we had, like this wasn't a good day. So we're just going to like keep it out. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely
any
Monday.
of the timing on this show. I feel like they cut out a lot of stuff for the purposes of just showing it to us later in a flashback or
oh yeah.
Yeah, like the timing, the way they edit this show is a little suspect to me.
I think it's Monday now.
Okay.
And something happened. I think something G1's going to say later is going to indicate that it's also Monday. So everybody's going to work on a Monday all of a sudden on supposedly day 3.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, Mingyu is going to be the first person we see.
Yeah.
Even though he was not the first to wake up, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely not.
I guess there's like 3 people on the show. It's Ji-won, Gyaorei, and Ji-young. They all wake up pretty early to go to work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know if it's all at the same time. Like, it seems like they have no significant interactions in the morning that have been shown or are going to be shown
Yeah.
in this episode.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's too early to flirt. You know, you just gotta
Yeah.
get to work.
So they just completely went straight to Mingyu, waking up at
Yes.
like 8:30 or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, the three we mentioned are already gone. So the house is just Mingyu, Jumi, and Jimin. And
Yes.
Jimin's still asleep at this time.
Yes. But Mingyu and Jumi share a little breakfast time before she goes to work, just hanging out. And then eventually Jimin wakes up, comes down. I think Mingyu's like on his way out. He's just waiting for his coffee. But they figure out that her school is theoretically on the way to his work, and so he drives her to school.
Yes.
So they get to leave together.
A little bit more on before Jumi left though, like and she was talking to Mingyu. I feel like they said like Mingyu actually reverted back to like at least briefly to using the honorifics again.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't know. I'm only talking about this because I feel like is it some level of indication of his maybe feeling of closeness to her, or I don't know.
It might be. It might also be a strange situation where the quickness with which they are all expected to switch over is awkward and difficult, maybe, you know, which I guess is part of the closeness, you know, like normally you might wait longer because you're
Yeah.
more comfortable to, you know, get to that point.
I think what also happens though is like once Jumi leaves and Jimin comes down and is talking to Mingyu, they're like automatically have dropped using honorifics.
Well, she is who he is the most into, so that makes sense to me.
I'm just saying this is like an indication of this means something, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the hosts try to convince us that Jumi is really into Mingyu. I guess this is going to be right, but I was like really not buying this at the time.
Okay.
Because she kept like staring at him while they were talking. But I feel like
Uh-huh.
Jumi just stares at everybody when she's talking to them, right? Like she's looking for that eye contact so hard.
I guess. But is she looking for that eye contact so hard because she's on a dating show and she's here to connect with people? Maybe.
I think it's just how she talks to people.
Does she stare at the ladies? I don't think she stares at the ladies.
I'm gonna have to pay attention to this more, but yeah. She's definitely trying it more than like I've ever seen, I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but then Jumi leaves, like you said, and then Jimin and Mingyu get to talking. It what's weird about it is like Mingyu feels like he was about to leave for work, but then when she comes down, he like doesn't leave for work.
Yeah.
And then they just end up talking, and then eventually he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll just drop you off at school."
Yeah, which definitely makes his not really having a schedule thing more apparent.
Yeah, I don't think
also...
this guy has a schedule at all. He's just like, I'm not staying at this house all day. Like, he says he's going to his office, which also might just be true. Like,
but he might not have a lot of work to do, or has like been like, I'm gonna be not around that much for a couple weeks because I'm on the show, and they're fine with it.
So they head out the door, and the hosts have this huge reaction. And it wasn't until like I watched it a second time that I was able to even know like what was going on. But something with the shoes, Sarah, do you want to explain this on the way out?
Yeah, so you know they all have their shoes in the shoe area because you don't wear your shoes inside. And he asks her basically which shoes to wear, and she tells him which shoes would look cute with his outfit, and then he puts on those shoes. I think it's a good move.
Yeah, but it was all Mingyu's doing, or did Jimin? Jimin picked the shoes, but it wasn't her idea, was it?
No, it was him.
At one point, I was confused. I thought like Jimin was like trying to make them have matching shoes or something.
Oh,
I guess I just misinterpreted something.
It might have been. I might have missed that. Like once he gave her the prompt of which shoes, she might have been like, "Oh, if you wear these shoes, we'll match."
I thought I saw that in the subtitles, and then they ended up like both wearing white shoes. So I was like, "Oh, I guess that is what they said." But then the second time I watched it, I was like, "Wait, I don't think this is what I actually thought happened the first time." Okay. Also, for people who are following along with our Transit Love 2 recaps that we're also doing, the shoe area for these people is way more organized than the Transit Love 2. The Transit Love 2 people are so sloppy. It's just like a minefield of shoes.
Yeah. I would say that goes as far as to through the rest of the house as well. Like these folks so far are regularly like, yes, we should do the dishes. Whereas the Transit Love folks are like, let me stack this on top of this precarious pile of dishes and then go about my day.
Big contrast between the people on the two shows.
Yeah.
And then, okay, they put the shoes on, they're heading out the door, and then Jimin starts giggling about something. Do you know what she was giggling about? I have no idea.
I think she was just maybe the fact that she picked out his shoes or that he's taken her to school. It might be that
Maybe?
he's taken her to school because she does go to an all-woman school.
Yeah.
And so it comes up later where she asks him to pick her up, and it's a whole thing about a guy standing outside of a woman's school to pick someone up. And so maybe him dropping her off is giving her like, oh, it's like he's really my boyfriend or whatever vibes, and she's giggling about that. I have no evidence of
Yeah.
anything, but
I thought maybe it was like something about what they said with honorifics made her giggle. I was like,
Also might be
I actually
true.
no idea why she's giggling. But, because then they get in the car to leave, and he tells her to speak comfortably or something, right? Which I assume
Yeah.
is like an honorifics related
Yeah.
like agreement once you say that. And then she just like playfully swats his arm, which
Yeah.
I don't exactly know how to translate like that, what the meaning of that swat is.
She was just flirting. Like, I think that's all you need to know. She was being
I
flirty.
guess, but like, was she kind of still using honorifics? And he was like, "You don't have to worry about it." And the SWAT was like, "Oh, stop! You're 7 years older than me," or something like that. Like, I can't just completely drop the honorific. I don't know. I am still struggling to fully comprehend everything going on. So yeah, but they're already like super playful, and they do seem like a couple already.
Yeah, they're definitely vibing.
And then Mingyu's gonna bring up a more serious topic in the car.
Yes, apparently he and his roommate Yuri last night were talking about why they came on the show. And they both came on the show to feel their hearts flutter. And because they're both on the older side, it is harder for their hearts to flutter. It doesn't happen so much, and that's probably why he hasn't dated anyone in a long time.
That's a good reason to come on the show.
It's the thing everybody says, right?
That's literally the reason it would be why it would be fun to be on the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mingyu says he's constantly working, and so he never even like, I guess he must not be thinking about it, if that's why it's not happening for him, basically. Interestingly, like, Jimin listens and acknowledges like everything he's saying, but like
doesn't come up with a flirty line to like make his heart flutter, which is what I would have expected from her.
I would have assumed someone like Jimin would say like, "Oh, so has your heart fluttered yet?" or something like that. But she didn't ask that, or at least it wasn't shown. But it seemed like such a natural thing to ask, which I don't know why she wouldn't. Did she think that would be like too flirty, or does she like Mingyu and was too shy to say it, or I don't know.
Or it's Monday morning and her brain isn't primed for flirting yet, you know.
I mean, it seemed like she was ready based on other stuff that was happening.
I don't know. You know,
okay.
Monday mornings are hard.
At this point, were you thinking she's into Mingyu or not? Jimin's like really hard to read.
I think she's kind of into him, but she's definitely not into him the way she's into Jiwon.
Yeah. Well, by the time we get to texting at the end of this episode, we can just say now, like, she's gonna have a lot of interactions with Mingyu and almost no interactions with Jiwon, and then she's gonna still text Jiwon.
But she is gonna talk about Jiwon a lot. Like, when's he coming back? Did he say when he's coming back? Oh, maybe I should text him.
Yeah, I mean, they gave us a montage of her saying it, so it looked really bad. But you know,
no, but I mean, like, he is still on her mind, even though he is away. Like,
yeah. But it means a lot. Well, we're going to go through all the things that she's going to do with Mingyu leading up to that. I thought for sure she would be texting Mingyu at the end of this. And the fact that she didn't, I feel like really means something. Unless, like, she could be into Jiwon, but, like, to be that into Jiwon where you're almost not interacting with him and you're still texting him seems kind of
or
insane.
She didn't get to actually interact with him, so the text is her way of doing that, so she can keep both things alive.
Maybe sort of, that is possible. She could be thinking about it like that. It does seem that Jimin likes she probably wants like all the guys to be into her. What do you think?
I feel like we don't see a lot of her in Gyuri, and that probably has to do with the biggest age difference. You know, she's the youngest, he's the oldest. I don't see them working out. So.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's even 7 years here between Jimin and Mingyu, so that seems fairly big too. I just think it's big because, you know, everybody else, she's 24, Jimin is.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody else is like in that 27, 28 age or higher, where I start thinking about people having like fully formed brains and like actually
Yeah.
being
There's
fully formed adults. She's like
yeah,
the only one that's not there yet,
right.
in my head at least. So
Mm-hmm.
even the 4-year gap between her and G1 also seems like it could be fairly significant.
Yep. But what's she gonna do? These are the options she has.
Is it possible she's texting G1 because it's just like he's the closest in age and that could be a major factor?
Well, she was already texting him before they found out the age. I think she's just
That's
into him.
true. That's true. Okay. So they do get to the school though.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is where she calls him Opa for the first time.
Oh, did she? I didn't even
I think she
notice.
leaves in the car and she said, "Bye, Opa."
Mm-hmm.
Super cute together. This is like, I've
Yeah.
never enjoyed two people on the show faster. I think I said that when we were
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about episode 2, but this is just more of this episode.
More
is
of that.
more
Yeah,
of
it's great.
Jimin and Mingyu. It's so good. Oh, also, I'll say this before we get to the other things that are going to happen, but I think when we recorded episode 2, I said like I think Mingyu is like the best representation of how I would be on these shows.
Yes.
Yeah, well, unprompted, when I was like before we were gonna watch, I was gonna watch episode 2 with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
She said she likes Mingyu on the show, and my wife usually isn't really usually into any of the guys on the show, so that made me
There
feel
you go.
better about my analysis of Mingyu that my wife also was into
Yeah,
Mingyu.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I think you nailed that one.
Yes, there we go. All right, and then now we get to these. I like these segments of the show, Sarah, where like the participants will go like meet a friend of theirs or like a coworker out in public somewhere, and then
Mhm.
they'll just talk about what's going on the show.
Yeah, it's good.
I love these segments. I don't think you got far enough in Heart Signal 2 to see this, did you?
Yeah, no, they did.
Oh,
At
you
least
did?
once,
Okay, yeah. But I was thinking about this. I never thought about this way. Is like these actually just replace confessionals.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like instead of having a producer interview you like on a chair in front of a green screen or whatever they
Uh-huh.
usually see, it's like they just have a friend and maybe the producers like give them questions to ask, but it
Yeah,
seems more natural.
It
And
does.
maybe like they'll be more willing to speak truthfully since they're like talking to their friend instead of like
Mhm.
to a producer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually really like these segments.
Yeah, they're good.
I'm pretty sure you definitely didn't get this far in Heart Signal 2, but when the girl that joins late meets her friend is like a super big personality and was like super fun to have on the show. So much so that they like brought her back for the reunion show and like basically had her like join the hosts as like
Oh, man, that's
another
great.
host of the show. Yeah, they loved her so much. So sometimes these friend characters that they have in are also like super fun. So I enjoy these meet up with friends and talk about the show
Yeah.
segments.
I don't think we got anybody with quite that big of a
Not
personality
yet,
this time
no,
through,
not yet. So Mingyu, we're not going to see him go to work. He's instead
No.
just going to go to some restaurant and eat with a friend.
Yes. And he tells him all about the plant shopping and how he's like interested in Jimin and how she's all like cheery and upbeat. But then his friend asks if any of the girls are his type just based on looks. And he says his typical type is actually Ji Young. And then he brings up that they like, a lot of the same things like films and directors and stuff. And so he's curious about her and wants to go on a date with her. So at the very least, he doesn't have tunnel vision, which is something I always worry about on these shows.
Mm-hmm.
He's willing to date other people.
Yeah. He admits that he likes Jimin. So that is like,
Mhm.
I like that we get that. That's like a confessional, like confirming, he's not just giving her a ride. He actually likes her.
Yeah.
When it relates to Jimin, though, there was one weird part where like the show keeps showing like Jimin really focused on Ji-won. And then it was like Ji-won's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jimin, like we talked about in episode 2, was like stressing about how she didn't get him a gift. And then she was like, what do people like on their birthdays? And then she's all about Ji-won's birthday, basically. But somehow, like, we saw Mingyu watching her and like noticing all of this. but somehow watching her be excited about Jiwon's birthday made Mingyu like Jimin even more.
Yes, he was not jealous. He was just like, look at how excited she is. That's so nice.
Is he thinking like if she likes me, like she'll treat me like this on my birthday? Or like what
Yeah,
is the
maybe.
logic here?
Yeah.
I guess he's just not intimidated by competition, I guess is the idea. And he's more like, wow, this is a real positive if she ends up liking me or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's not really like, because he doesn't really mention ever like being worried that she's into somebody else.
Yeah.
Even though it seems pretty obvious from the edit we're getting. So yeah, I think he's just confident.
And then, like you said, Mingyu says that he was most attracted to Ji Young based on looks because she has round eyes and her face is small. Those were the descriptions we got.
The small face thing I never understand, but that is a big thing in Korea. It's just like people like small faces, and I'm like, how is her face small? I don't understand, but okay.
You don't think she has a small face?
I don't know what a small face.
It's like a small head. It's like a small head, I guess.
No, I don't think it's the head.
Or it's
though.
like,
I think it is specifically the face.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, takes up less space. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, I just feel like a face should be appropriately proportioned to your head, not like small or something.
There's probably like a point where it gets too small, but
yeah, anytime anybody says somebody has a small face, I'm like, dude, they look like they have a face that fits their head. I don't understand. Okay. But sure. She has a small face, he likes it.
People are really into like, little below average face size, but not too small. I don't know.
I guess. Okay.
I never think about these things. It's just like,
I think too hard about these things.
But do you think about it for yourself or just in the context of people saying people are attractive? You think
well,
about it?
Just like people say it and I try to see it in who they're talking about,
okay.
And I don't get it,
What I mean is like it seems like a lot of people on these shows have like really thought about what they like physically, and then they have like a list of things that they say. Yeah. And like I never thought about this before. It's just like you look at somebody and you decide if they're attractive, and that's like the end of that. The analysis on that for me.
Well, I think this concept of an ideal type is very popular in like Korean culture, I guess, because they ask it on every show. All K-pop idols ever get asked what their ideal type is like.
Well, that
so
makes sense.
I think everybody just like
K-pop idols have to answer that question.
I guess. But like it just I think just everybody just has to have that list ready because somebody at some point is gonna ask them.
But once Mingyu said, "Oh, she has round eyes and a small face," I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess she does." But I didn't really think about it. I think his friend asked him, "Oh, like if you had to choose who to go on a date with next, who you would choose?" But he like didn't commit to like who he would choose next. But he did say, "I would like to go on a date with Ji Young at some point."
Yeah, because he's curious about her, and that is important to him or something. I think he said.
No, I think Jumi says that later. Jumi
okay.
says something later, like, the most important thing to me is that I'm curious about a person. I was like,
that's right.
That's a weird thing to be the most important, but okay. And at no point do they have Mingyu mention Jumi throughout this whole friendship conversation, okay?
Does not bode well for her so far.
Yeah, okay. And then Galray is also going to meet a friend at, I assume, his coffee shop.
Yes.
And this is a shorter conversation, right?
Yes. His friend basically asks him if there's anybody he likes on the show. He talks a lot about how he's amazed that he went on a date with the girl that he hung out with the most on the first day. And so he thinks it might be fate. Like, this guy is so in on her right now.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I don't fall in love easily, but I can't stop thinking about her. So he's going to get some tunnel vision. I'm calling it now.
Oh, you think he's going to get tunnel vision? Okay.
Yeah. He's way in on her already. It's been like 2 days and he's just like, I think it might be fate, bro. Might be fate.
Well, he hasn't, he has no reason at this point to stop being into her because he's also gotten texts from her every time, right?
Yeah.
Like, they've literally texted each other every time. So at this point, why would he change?
Yeah, I'm not saying he should change, but he's not been like I would say Mingyu is very into, is presenting as being very into Jimin, but he has also opened up that, I'm curious about Ji-young, sure. Whereas I don't feel like Gyorai's expressing that at all. He's just like, there's this one girl, oh my god,
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, he brings up this concept of fate, which it's very silly to me, and he does admit that he feels like he's being silly by talking about it, but he is feeling it, which is an interesting dynamic to have.
Yeah, especially the idea of fate on a show with producers who are trying to make a storyline.
Yeah, the other thing is I think about it like mathematically. There's literally a 33% chance you're going to hang out with the same girl 2 days in a row.
Also true.
Yeah. If you only get to hang out with one girl per day, 2 days in a row, the second day you have a 33% chance of it being the same one. So it's not that crazy of a math problem.
But it feels big to him right now. So there we go.
Also, Gyorei used to be really into breakdancing.
Oh yeah. He was a b-boy and was at the 2007 b-boy unit world championship is what it is.
Random fun fact. Do you think that's going to circle back in any way?
I hope so.
It feels like it has to because they mentioned it and they use this not so great footage, but I guess it was because it was from a while ago. Of him breakdancing, so I feel like it might come back somehow. Is the fourth girl gonna be a dancer?
Ooh, there you go. And then they can break dance.
Early predictions on somebody we've never met. There we go. All right. And you know what? That's the entire day. We're going back to the house. Yep. I love the pacing of this show.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Transit Love is we barely maybe might get through a day in one episode. Yeah. I appreciate that, nothing happened. I feel like other people must have met friends between Sunday and Monday.
But they're just going to show them in other episodes.
So either show them in other episodes or they weren't interesting enough. So, just cut them out. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's keep the fun rolling here. Good stuff.
So Gyorei comes home with a bunch of groceries because he's got a plan.
8 p.m. I think it's important to note that it's 8 p.m. Not that early that he got home.
No.
Okay. For later, I think it's important to note that.
Yeah. And he is making seaweed soup. And everyone just keeps assuming that this is for Jiwon because his birthday was theoretically yesterday.
His birthday was 2 days ago. What are they talking about here? This is for Jiwon.
Well, it is the soup that you eat on your birthday. That is the thing.
That's what it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Traditionally, you eat seaweed soup on your birthday.
If that's true, then Gyorei is totally blowing it here. What the hell?
No. You don't only eat it on your birthday, but you do eat it on your birthday. And in theory, it's 2 days later. So, for him, he's only thinking about making this soup for Ji-young because she enjoyed eating something that was seaweed the other day.
Seaweed stem.
But everybody else is like, oh, birthday. And he's like, yeah, that's that's why I'm doing it. Yeah, that's why I'm making this soup.
But he definitely failed to think about, people might think this is for a birthday related thing. Okay.
Because again, he's got that tunnel vision. He's only thinking the girl I like seaweed things. I'm gonna make her soup.
I think the host at some point say seaweed stem, which is what Ji-young ate earlier or 2 days ago or whatever, and said she really liked it, is significantly different than seaweed. So he is also blowing it on that front. I think the host suggested that it's not the same.
Well, this might be the only thing he can make that is close to that. So
he said he never made it before. So okay, not only did he go to the store and buy food, he bought a scale so that he could really specifically measure the ingredients.
Some people are like that. I mean, yeah, cooking, it doesn't have to be that precise, but some folks, they feel they need to be precise.
I mean, I get why he wanted to be so precise if it's for Ji-young.
Yeah, but also think about his job as making coffee. And there's probably a preciseness in his blends of things. So I feel like he's just used to
He probably tries every combination of
being...
heating and amount of beans and probably tries everything until he thinks it's perfect. Yeah So Mingyu is already back and Jimin is already back. We're gonna find out later that they like arrived home at the exact same time, so they have another conversation about, oh, is it fate? Well, I don't know who jokes about it, but I don't know if it's them or somebody else. But
Yeah.
they got back around the same time. I think like 30 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons also I think he's making this is because it's a food that doesn't have flour in it. They
Yes.
talk about that because Jiyeon is allergic to flour. And then Jumi gets back around 9:30. She also asks, "Oh, this must be for Jiwon."
Exactly.
Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Jiwon soup."
But at some point along the way, like Gyorei is like, "When's everybody else coming home?" And
Yeah.
Jimin specifically is like, "Oh well, Ji-young's not coming back until late," and he's just like, "Wait, what? What do you mean? When's he coming back?" Like he hadn't thought any of this through. And there's this great shot of the soup just boiling, and they put up the words that's like, "The seaweed soup continues to boil with no regard for his feelings."
That's a great sentence.
I thought it was hilarious.
I feel like Mingyu's ears also perked up a little bit when Jimin mentioned when Ji-yeon was going to get home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I was actually wondering. I guess you've explained it, but I wrote down in my notes that like when Jumi came back and asked if the soup was for Jiwon, I thought they were like trolling him at this point, where like they actually knew what he was going for and they were just like teasing him. But I guess that's not true.
It's 100% just it's a birthday tradition.
Okay. Yeah, Jiyeon's not gonna get home till late, so then Jimin and Jumi though, they're gonna have some of the soup, and they are really liking the soup, so they're having like seconds.
We just see people go
so
and
funny.
get extra,
I love this whole scene.
extra portions of this soup, and it cuts to a shot of his face just being, "Oh, there better fucking be soup left for her when she gets back."
This scene is so good. The seaweed catastrophe.
Yeah,
seaweed soup catastrophe. No, we need a better alliteration for seaweed soup. I don't know. Something that starts with that.
Ooh, slip up. There we go.
Oh, the seaweed
soup slip up.
There we go. Oh man. All right. Well, Jiyeon's gonna get home at 10:30, and man, is she freezing! Oh my, she's so cold when she comes in.
And I'm like, oh, you know what would warm you up? Soup. Some soup would get nice and warm.
I feel like she's like really tired too. I don't know.
Yeah.
She also said she already ate a little bit. So she's not really focused on trying to get food. She's more like, she wants to like get upstairs and like, you know,
get changed and like
reset
just
herself
relax
for the evening.
Yeah. But like Jimin does try a couple times to get her to eat the soup, even though she doesn't know that it's
she doesn't
she's
know.
Wingmanning it here, but
Jimin just thought it was really good soup. So she's trying to offer it. There's gotta be like only like one bowl left or something also.
Yeah. And
she's like, oh, somebody made seaweed soup. And she like kind of seems interested, but then she's like, oh, I'm going to go upstairs first. And man, the at this point, like the tension of will or will not Jiyeon eat the soup was just like, so
and
entertaining.
Next we see her, she's just eating apples because they had been like cutting up apples for dessert or whatever. Yeah. So she never has any of this soup. But Jumi and Jimin do talk up this soup and say that Gyorei made it. So at the very least, she's heard that he makes good soup.
Yeah, but she only reacts in a way that's like the way you would compliment the person whose turn it was to cook, you know?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, was it your turn to cook tonight? Good job. You did a good job. Like kind of. And I don't know. It's like, is she not excited about it because there is a significant difference between seaweed and seaweed stem? Like,
I think she's just tired and doesn't necessarily I don't think she's picking up on the fact that he made this soup for her, like, because he's playing it cool and everybody else is just talking about how it's good and not for Jiwon's birthday. And, you know, it's maybe not registering with her.
Yeah. Now that you've explained this more to me, I do think this is a very much a miscalculation on Gyorei's part. This is it's actually way funnier. Oh, this is the little bit of flirting with Gyorei from Jimin's part, because she's like, I usually don't like seaweed soup, but you made it so good I like went back and had seconds. So there's like a little bit of
I didn't register that as flirting, just as it was really fucking good soup, like, you know.
I mean, it could be that too, but I mean, she really went on and on about how she usually doesn't like seaweed soup.
Yeah.
I just think she's just having fun on the show, Jimin.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you gotta go at it, at the very least.
And then the hosts are gonna claim that Jiyeon is avoiding looking at Galray. I don't know if I'm buying this part. What do you about you?
I think she's just tired and everybody needs to just let her sleep.
No, this is gonna when you're guessing. I did really bad on the guessing this time, I'll be honest.
Okay.
But I guess like when you're guessing, if you're participating in the guessing aspect of the show for the text, like this is the kind of thing where like if it doesn't really make sense, that's probably in here for the storyline. So like
yeah,
ultimately Jiyeon is not going to text Galray this time. So
and this is only in here to help explain that, even if it's nothing that actually happened. Yeah.
Because I think especially with the girls this time around, like I think it was like really hard to tell who they were going to text. So the show
I just assumed they were all going to text the new guy. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, I was just like, absolutely, that new guy.
I thought like some
not
of them
happen
might,
that
but
way.
not everybody. Yeah. Okay. More than any other show that we've watched so far, I feel like doing the dishes has become a regular.
Yes, and there's also like. So there's like a little room behind the kitchen that I was assuming was like a pantry, but it also has a sink in there. Like,
yeah, it's
so
like a mud room or something, but I don't know if it actually connects the outside. Yeah.
And so we end up with like 2 spots of people doing dishes within like short distance of each other, and then like it's like a social event basically, because everybody can like crowd in this small zone, and it's a little bit awkward. Dishes are important on this show.
G1 is still nowhere to be found. Has not made an appearance on the show on this episode yet. But somehow the way it works out is that Mingyu is actually doing the dishes in the extra room with Jiyeon.
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually getting a chance to talk about their day, and they're having a good back and forth with each other, right?
Yes.
I'd say. And then I guess Galray is working, like doing dishes with Jumi, but also he like is like kind of wandering and trying, at least the show is trying to make it look like he's trying to be closer to Ji-young, and
it's like he's looking for something to do that would allow him to be in that room and butt in that conversation, but he can't find anything, so he's just hovering about awkwardly,
and then eventually he just does the dishes with Jumi at the main sink. Okay.
And actually, when he goes to do that, we finally get Ji-young says to Mingyu that like she hasn't had a lot of time to spend with him and Ji-won yet, or like really a chance to talk to them, and that's something she's looking forward to. So this is also sort of a indication that maybe she is ready to branch out from just hanging out with Gyorei all the time,
Yeah. And I don't know if that's a direct, like, because that moment that was hard to watch where he like couldn't say his ideal type because he was like, for whatever reason, whether it was honorifics or I don't, or he was just too
awkwardness or
shy. I don't know if it's a direct correlation to that or not.
I don't think so. I think like she's not as maybe head over heels as he is, but still likes him, but it's like, this is a dating show, I should probably at least talk to some other people too,
But if you really go back and look at everything from Ji-yeon's perspective, it's kind of like the first time when they went grocery shopping, it was like, okay, she was the one that didn't drink. So she was like the only one that could drive. So it was like kind of a forced situation, not necessarily a choice.
Okay.
Like, and then the second time it was completely random that they got picked. So from Ji-yeon's perspective, like she's just kind of randomly hung out with Galray twice.
It is not fate for her yet,
Now she did text him every time so far, so that means something, but it could just be like, oh, you're
the person I saw today.
So it makes sense that she, even if that one conversation hadn't happened, she might be switching or trying to talk to the other guys anyway.
That's what I think.
All right, Ji-won finally gets home at 11 p.m.
So late.
And then Jimin, they're all in the playroom, I think, like just chatting. And Jimin is like, oh, I think I hear him coming in.
Like he's in the garage. She's like listening for him.
Jimin's like, let's hide and scare him.
And no one moves to do that. But then she like hides behind a bit of furniture. And so when he finally comes up, like when you walk into this room, you see the couch. And so like the other girls are on the couch and they're just like, hi. And he steps in the room and she just like jumps out at him.
Yeah. Do you think she would only have done this for G1 though?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Because she's been waiting all fucking day to see this man. So she's like got this extra energy right now. I think she's hyped about it.
Okay. G1 tells them that he slept for 3 hours last night and then he did 15,000 steps at work today.
Oof. Yeah.
And then they say that he says, if I go to bed right now, I'll have to wake up in 4 hours.
Oh,
this schedule.
Yeah, this sounds terrible.
And then he has the night shift the following day, so he won't be back until 6 p.m. on Wednesday, which I think confirms that this is Monday. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I think that all works out.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I wasn't 100% sure where Jimin was coming from, because she was kind of like suggesting that he should go to bed. And then he was like, I just got here. You want me to go to bed? And then,
like, she's like worried about him, like, oh, you should actually get some sleep. But he's like, I have had no opportunity to do anything on this dating show. I need to stay awake a little bit.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure how to interpret it, because I was like, it's either like, oh, she's worried about him, or it's like maybe her interest in him is a little overstated and she doesn't mind if he goes to bed. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world. But it seems like
no.
It seems like she'd be really disappointed if he went to bed.
Yeah.
Right?
Both things can be true. She can be disappointed that he goes to bed, but like wants him to go to bed because he hasn't had any fucking sleep.
And again, they show the camera of Mingyu noticing this.
Because Mingyu notices everything.
I love this storyline where Mingyu doesn't miss anything. According to the little side glances from the cameras that we get. Do you think Mingyu wants Jimin to be like, you look tired, you should go to bed? Like, he's still only seeing this as positive. This is all good stuff from his point of view.
I mean, she is caring. She worries about people who don't have enough sleep, I guess.
Okay.
So he could read it that way, sure.
All right. Also, when Jumi came into the house, she found a mystery package at the front door.
And it was like addressed to an unfamiliar name, but like specifically said Signal House on it, so they knew it was in the right spot.
Yeah, it said Signal House, and then it had their last name or...
It had family name.
Family name, yeah.
Their family name was there, and then like their given name is 2 syllables, right? And the first syllable was like blanked out for whatever reason.
Yeah, because I guess the first syllable would give away whether it was a guy or a girl?
Potentially, yeah, depending on the name. I mean, there are some names that work both ways, but okay. I don't know. Although somebody did say like, oh, well, how many? Because it's what Shin was the last part of the name.
The second.
And they're
syllable,
like, I don't know any girls' names that end with that. You know, they were saying, so they were.
We've never seen a Shin on any of these shows, right?
Not in a given name, but as a like family name that I've seen.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
They say it's another unique name, but I don't think it's as unique as Gal Race.
Nobody questions if it's actually Korean or not.
They do not immediately put together that like this is going to belong to a new person that's going to enter the house, though.
Yeah, they're just like, what is this? They open it and they're like,
yeah,
it's a blank canvas, and they're like, oh, maybe we have to paint on this or something. I'm like, guys are opening other people's mail.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Like, were they supposed to open it? I don't think they were.
I don't think so. Not at all.
Like, did they just, like, in the U.S., they would be committing, like, a federal crime on national television. Not that it would matter.
It wouldn't matter, but yeah.
Technically.
Technically, yes.
Okay, well, nothing comes of this. They're just like, oh, it's a blank canvas. Maybe we're supposed to paint something. But then they don't do anything with it.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't get shipped any paints, so, you know, they just leave it in the corner.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to that later.
Yeah. But then it's the next morning, and I was like, are we not doing texts? Do we not do texts every day? I thought we did texts every day. Guess not.
Yeah, I was wondering about this. Like, so now it should be Tuesday, right? But I'm assuming they text each other every day. And then I feel like if the texts are like confusing or don't necessarily line up with the storyline that that they want to tell to get to the end of the season, they just kind of skip it.
Yeah.
Also, maybe like I'm suspicious of how well the hosts do at guessing on the show a little bit. In a way that like maybe the host did really bad at guessing, and then they were just like, we won't show this day. And it was like, these weren't that important. I don't know.
Yeah, this show definitely has no qualms about just not showing us stuff it decides doesn't serve the greater purpose of the story they're telling, you know?
Yeah. Because they're going to text on Tuesday night. They're going to text, supposedly.
Yes.
And it seems like this Tuesday would be a better night not to do text, because G1's going to be gone all night. He's not even going to come home.
Yeah.
And then the new guy's going to be there, and they're barely going to get to meet him before they do text. So
yeah, it seems like the night you would skip would be that night.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. So it's a little weird that they would have skipped Monday.
Yeah.
But whatever. We move on. It's Tuesday now.
Yes. And Mingyu has promised to drive Jimin to school again. And we see her. She's awake and getting ready and talking to Jumi. And she's like, I don't know where he is. I don't know if he's awake. And she just runs through the house, like, calling for him.
Mingyu Oppa, Mingyu Oppa.
And is so adorable.
Yeah.
Like, she's just real cute right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd feel really good about myself if I was Mingyu here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's another weird situation. Like Mingyu, she ends up finding him, and he's just like sitting in his room, and he's like
fully dressed,
with his coat, like ready to go. But he's just sitting there, like not a care in the world. And then Jimin comes in,
for her to be ready.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Oh, are you ready to go?" And she's like, "No." And then I think they say like something like, "I'll need like another hour." And he's like, "Okay." And he just kind of continues to sit there.
This man does not need to get to work, and it's great.
Yeah, it's perfect for the show, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're going to go on these shows, really carve out a time. Really try to get out of work as much as possible if you're going to be on these shows.
Take all your vacation and then just, I don't know, go sit in a park during the day when you have to pretend to be at work or something.
I mean, you can get your work done, in the time of day where no one's going to be at the house, but try to be the last one to leave and the first one to come back,
Yeah.
Also, we find out that it's their turn, Mingyu and Jimin. It's also their turn to make dinner tonight.
Yes. And so she wants him to come and meet her in front of her school so they can go theoretically get groceries.
Oh, yeah.
But also, I think she just wants a ride home, which, seems nice too.
Oh, yeah. Do you think this is going to be a forever exchange?
Yeah.
Okay. For the rest of the show.
As long as things don't sour between them for any reason. Like,
Mingyu doesn't sour. Come on.
Well, I don't know. Who knows what happens?
I guess something could happen, yeah. Although G1 is going to, I think he has after this night shift, he gets like a 36-hour window where he doesn't have to work. Is that what we find out later?
Yes.
But then also Jimin might not have school. I don't know. I was wondering if maybe she's going to get G1 to drive her while he is actually available to drive her. But we'll see. We don't get that far. Yeah, so she's super excited. She's like, yeah, you should meet me at the school and we'll go shopping together. And then I can show you around the campus and I'll just start yelling, Oppa, Oppa. And then everybody, so all the girls on campus will know that a guy is around.
And he's just like, no, please
he's
don't.
Shaking his head
to me.
I don't even know if he knows he's doing it. Like these little micro head shakes. It's almost like, I don't even know if he knows he's doing it because ultimately he is going to go pick her up. They're not going to, he's not going to take a tour of the campus, but he's basically going to be right outside the campus almost.
But he feels tremendously awkward about it, it seems. Yeah.
Do you think he really hates it, or he must not hate it that much because he ultimately ended up doing it, but his instincts were this is too much, maybe, what's his instinct?
I think he is worried about the attention he might get because we do hear later from Jumi also went to an all-girl school and she confirmed oh yeah, if a guy shows up out front of school to pick somebody up, everybody's looking. And I think he just doesn't want that kind of attention, he feels awkward about it.
But ultimately he said, okay, it's fine, I'll go.
Well, yeah, because it's the girl he likes, of course.
Well, before we get to him picking her up, Jumi's gonna have a meet with one of her friends.
Yes.
Jumi says she actually likes being the oldest woman on the show
Mm-hmm.
because both the other two girls are calling her Uni now,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Which may be a dynamic that she likes in
yeah.
in her female
Yeah, yeah.
friends. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
She thinks all the men are handsome.
I mean, that's fair. But they put attractive people on these shows.
Okay. And yeah, feeling curious is the most important thing in romance, according to Jumi.
Yes. And she is
Okay.
growing curious about Gyore.
Okay.
And she says a whole bunch of shit about his eyes, that they look innocent, but there's ambition in there too. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I was like, you might be reading too much into this. But she says Mingyu, though, is more of her type, though.
Yes, he's pale, stylish, and doesn't talk a lot.
Yeah. That's a great type.
Yes.
Pale, stylish, and not talkative. And then she goes on to say he's also cynical, but he's also kind of clumsy somehow. So I don't know how much of this was like her continuing describing her type, or it was just now she's just describing Mingyu.
Yeah.
But I like to think all of it is her type. So she likes pale, stylish, not talkative, cynical, and clumsy.
And here, she's found it.
And she says he makes me worry about him a lot. And that
Mm.
was a little weird to me because I was like, I don't think you got to worry about Mingyu. He's got his shit figured out. It seems like.
I don't think it's like it says makes her worry about him, but I think it's really just like she just does now worry about him. Like she has taken enough of an interest in him that she's like, oh, is he okay? Oh, what's happening now? You know?
Oh, okay. It's like I like him, so I'm worrying about him, kind of.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
She brought it up in context of like, oh, he was really tired when we did the dishes together, but he like pushed through.
Yeah.
But she kind of told everybody to like. She really insisted on doing the dishes. She was like, everybody, I know these, like, everyone's like, that's so many dishes. You can't do it by yourself. She's like, this is nothing. I'm a human dishwasher. Everybody go to sleep.
Yep. She's like, look at my value. I can wash dishes. We're good. I'm contributing to the household.
Yeah. And then she said she had a weird back and forth with Jimin at some point where Jimin went to her and was like, Uni, am I too obvious who I like? And I don't know what Jumi said to her, but Jumi was like, I do not know who she was talking about. Like, she thinks Jimin likes Mingyu.
Yeah.
Which seems like a fair analysis to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's not entirely sure, and so she doesn't really like know what, if anything, she should do about it, you know?
Yeah. She doesn't know if like, okay, is Mingyu like taken at this point, I guess is maybe what she's thinking
like,
about.
should I pull back, or is this okay to pursue?
Yeah.
Or
But then her friend encourages her not to. I don't know what word she used, but basically like, don't just be a pushover. Like keep going for it. Kind of.
Basically,
mentality.
You're not here to make friends. You're here to date some dudes. Go date the dude.
Which ultimately, I guess, is another kind of edit giveaway because she is actually going to end up texting Mingyu, which I thought was a really hard to guess, and somehow the host got it right. I was very suspicious of how they got that right. But I guess something was in the edit.
Well, I think that's who she texted last, maybe, I think. And so they're just like, probably the same.
She didn't text Mingyu last, though. She texted Galre,
Didn't
right?
she? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know how they got it right. Okay. Now it's 6:30.
Yeah.
And Mingyu's on his way to pick up Jimin from the Sungshin Women's University.
And she is waiting on the street, and she sees a friend, and she's all like, yeah, I'm waiting for my date. And her friend is super shocked.
She was like, really? And she's like, yeah. And then her friend said again, really? And then Jimin is just so excited to talk about how she has a date. Like,
yes,
every single person she knows on campus that walks by, she would be like, I'm going on a date, everybody. Like,
which, I mean, as far as we know, it was just, hey, we need to get groceries. You want to pick me up after school so we could get groceries?
Yeah. As far as we knew, like, I actually wrote down in my notes, like, okay, this might be actually like the first unofficial date
Yeah.
that we've ever seen on these
Hmm.
shows. Like, this was not a production decision to make them go shopping together. Like, they just have to cook together, I think, is the idea.
Yeah, yeah.
And even that is a little like, eh. Like, Yalray made dinner by himself. There wasn't who was supposed. I guess Jiyoung didn't get home early enough to cook with him. I guess was the idea.
I guess. Yeah, and they do end up actually doing things other than getting groceries, so it is like an actual
Yeah, this is
unofficial
definitely a
date.
date.
Yeah.
A couple of the guys later are going to go as far to say, like, oh, when the new guy shows up, they're like, yeah, we haven't gone on any dates yet. But I'm like, okay.
Y'all have gone
Maybe.
on some sort of date. Yeah.
Like, some of us have gone on 2 dates, but
Yeah.
who's to say? Yeah. So she's using the word date. And,
Hmm. Yes.
is this a thing, Sarah? Have you ever been to an all women's school or some sort of all women's?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Nope.
I don't know how common this is. Is it like
What, the getting picked up
like
outside of school
how
and everybody
do
staring?
people love to flaunt their I have a relationship with a man when you're at an
Maybe?
all girls school. I don't know.
I guess.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I'm sure it's not everybody, but this is very like kind of over the top, exaggerating the situation. Like, more usually people are very like more hesitant to call it anything a
Oh,
date.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
But this feels 100% authentic Jimin. Like,
yeah, I'm loving this. But do you think she really thinks it's a date, or she just
I think she
likes
is
to talk about it?
manifesting it into a date. Like,
She's manifesting
she
it?
made
Okay.
it become a date.
I almost felt like, because I don't know if she ever calls it a date.
She calls it a date afterwards.
She's gonna reenact the conversation she had with her friend, which suggests that she thought as a date, but also it's a reenactment of the conversation, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I felt more like, she wanted her girlfriends to think that she's going on a date, but she at no point was this like really agreed that like, hey, this is a date. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I don't think it was agreed
I mean,
that it
I
was
think
a date.
it's a date.
But yeah, I do think she managed to turn it into a date. Whether or not he will
Okay.
acknowledge it as a date doesn't matter. It was kind of a date.
Okay. All right. Mingyu arrives on campus, or just
He
outside
even brought
of
her
campus.
coffee.
Brings
you
her
know?
coffee. This guy is clutch. Come on.
Yeah.
This guy doesn't make mistakes. Oh my god. I wrote down one of the host comments here. She's so youthful. She's showing her skin on such a cold day.
Yeah,
What a
I guess her
comment.
coat wasn't buttoned up all
Yeah.
the way or something, and you could see her neck, I guess. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if I would have been so bold to make that comment, but I would say I think that's something, Maybe it's not something like Jimin was actually thinking about, but
Okay.
it's something that guys would probably notice. Is all I'll say.
Okay.
I have more host comments here actually. They say their heights are perfect when they're like
But
standing near each
unfortunate
other.
for you, we don't get actual.
They don't
hard
give us the
data on
actual
what
heights.
those
Yeah,
heights are.
I also didn't have any perspective on if I thought their heights were good or not. Sarah, what's the perfect height?
I don't know. Like, who cares? I'm old. If people are not shitty, that's what matters to me. Like, whatever.
You don't have a
I am
perfect
past the part of giving a shit about things like height.
height.
Although,
If you
I
give
guess,
it a little bit of thought, like imagine, any person you want, what height would you want them to be?
okay, it's where you can put your head on their shoulder comfortably when you're like standing next to them. That's the perfect height.
Okay. So you want to be, ideally, you're a little bit shorter.
Sure.
Or
I guess. Whatever.
Are you saying either way? Both
yeah.
people want to be a little bit shorter.
Well, I mean, it's whoever feels like they want to be the one who has the head on their shoulder versus put their head on a
okay.
shoulder, That's the ratio,
Yeah. Okay. I have no data to base this on. I haven't dated many people, and no, I was thinking about it. I was like, I've never dated anybody who was within a foot of my height. I've been over a foot taller than everybody
Okay.
I've ever dated.
Fair.
So I have no
Happy.
data to even imagine what the perfect height would be.
It's such a not important thing.
Oh yeah,
as
it's
far-
such a
it's
who
just
cares,
like,
but they
whatever.
mentioned it, so I was like, okay, now let me think about this. Also, they say they look nice together. great looking
That is
couple.
accurate. Yeah. They
Great
do look
looking
cute
couple.
together.
I agree. Great looking couple. First thing on the agenda though, they're gonna go buy a board game.
Yeah.
That's fun.
They keep going on dates that I'm like, I would go there. I'll buy some
Yeah.
plants. I'll buy some board games. Yeah.
Yeah. They're kind of chores, but also
I mean,
not
they're having a good
kind of
time and they're
fun.
fun
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Like, not only do I like them together, I like the things they do together.
Yeah.
Now, in an episode or two, we might have them jumping off a bridge or some crazy shit that I would never do. But for now, this is my kind of dates.
Yeah. Meanwhile, though, while they're doing this, we cut to Jumi getting home alone, all by herself
Yes.
at the house.
And the first thing she does is look for Minkyu, and he is not there, and she is hungry.
Oh, did she look for Mingyu? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he was well,
She did know that he was supposed to cook, I think, is probably part
oh,
of
maybe
it.
that's what it was. I would imagine she kind of expected both of them to be home because they were home early the night before.
I think
But she was home way earlier.
Came home later.
She was home later the night before, but
Yeah, so I don't think she knows that they came at the same time or whatever. I don't know. I think she's looking for somebody to cook food, but also that's the guy she's kind of interested in. So sure, she's gonna look for him too.
I think I didn't write this down, but I think Jimmy's like, if you imagine it, Jumi is like, she comes to this house, she's by herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she like walks over to the fridge, she opens it up, and then out loud with nobody else in the house, she says, "Wow, I'm really hungry." That's kind of weird, right?
Well, she's got a camera on her, so sure, why not?
I guess maybe she's like super aware of it. I don't know. But it like usually if people are doing something by themselves, like they don't talk, but then the show will like throw up a word on the screen to try to indicate to us like, oh, this is how they're feeling.
Some people just talk out loud to themselves. I know this because I am one of these people.
Okay.
So
Okay.
It might just be the way she is.
Usually like they would just look in the fridge and then they would just be text at the screen that says she is hungry or something like that.
Yeah.
But she said it out loud for us. Okay.
Just making it easier for the editors, They don't have to guess what she's thinking. It's fine.
Yeah. I don't think she was doing it for the cameras though. I think this is just how she is. She talks to herself. Yeah. Okay. So she's gonna end up, because nobody's coming home quick enough, she's gonna end up making dinner for herself.
And we keep getting shots of it cuts between her making dinner for herself and being like kind of frustrated that nobody is around and she's hungry, and shots of these two out on their date taking forever to get home when they're supposed to be cooking.
Yeah. So do you think she's actually annoyed, or like what level of annoyance do you think she is by this?
I think she's annoyed. I can't quite figure out why.
I mean, I would get why, but I don't know. I feel like maybe the hosts were making more of a meal out of it by saying like, oh, like she must be so annoyed, or I don't know what they were saying, but I felt like it was a little of like editing tricks. I'm not sure.
I mean, she definitely does do some weird things in that, like when they finally come home, she definitely hears them. And they're basically like, oh, is anybody home? And she refuses to like say she's home or go and greet them. She's just like hiding away, watching TV, not really wanting to interact. But I guess we have sort of seen that in the past, like the second day in the morning, she didn't want to come down right away. Like she wasn't ready to face everybody yet, I guess. So maybe this is just her personality. She needs to compose herself.
Yeah, I guess I kind of feel like it's just like who she is. Also, like, I guess if you're on the show, like you would think like, okay, every opportunity I get, I'm gonna like jump at like, oh, people are home, I'm gonna go rush downstairs. Like maybe, but also like, what if she just had like, 20 minutes left of a really good show, and she was like, I'm gonna finish it.
Yeah.
And she's gonna tell us that she was watching The Glory.
Yeah,
she actually tells us, which is something that was recommended to us. And
it's
you've watched
good.
it, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't watched it, but Sarah has. A lot of good reviews on The Glory. I think she might have just been, maybe she was just wanted to finish the episode.
Okay.
She already ate dinner. What's the rush? Okay. All right.
I just feel also like when she does come down and like is talking.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
That's also weird.
It is a little weird, but also not that weird for Jumi. I don't think. I think it just might just be how she talks to people.
Okay.
We'll see. Okay. Jimin and Mingyu continue to go by normal stuff like a couple. basically. They don't just go grocery shopping. They get some like stuff for the house as well, like maybe laundry stuff or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like this when they did the self-checkout at one of the stores. Mingyu asks her if she wants to do it in Chinese. Because that's an option. But then I think she says, "Oh, how come there's no French?"
Yeah.
As if, does that mean she also knows French?
I think it does, yes.
Does Mingyu know French and like she knew that? So, or maybe they talked about, maybe he like kind of knows French or studied French and that she was saying saying it for that reason. I don't know.
I was just going to guess that she also knows French because she seems to know
French.
a lot of languages.
This is so many languages to know.
Yeah. Impressive.
Wow. Okay. But apparently, if you want to check out in Korea, French will not be an option.
Well, at that particular store.
At that
Who
particular
knows about
store.
other stores, you know?
I can't say I've even looked in the US to see what the self-checkout language options are. Like, they probably have Spanish, and that might be it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably it.
Yeah. Okay. Jimin and Mingyu are going to get home, though, after getting groceries. Yeah. And like we said, Jumi is watching TV. Now, again here, did she instantly hear them when they got home, you think?
I mean, given that, like, okay, so the night before, Jimin heard G1 in the garage. Like, I feel like sound travels through this house pretty easily.
That's true, yeah. But they weren't watching
TV. She was watching TV, so who knows?
And the way, like, the whole scene with Jumi is, like, there's no audio. Because, like, we're not hearing the TV. She's not talking, you know? And then at some point, she looks to the right, and then they show that when they're coming home. So, I'm not totally convinced that she 100% heard them.
Okay, fair.
Right away. Later, I feel like she must have.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, there's a part where they come upstairs.
Yeah.
And are talking loudly, and she had to have heard them then.
But still, you know, if I had 5 minutes left of the TV show, I might finish that episode, you know. The night is still young here. Mm-hmm. And then, so they get home, and they're like, oh, no one's here. So then they just start making out, right?
Not quite.
That's what it feel like, you know, that's what would happen on like American dating shows.
Oh, yeah.
They'd be like, wow, the house, we're alone. Okay. Not on this show, though.
No.
But that's like, it was like setting up like, oh, alone in the house. Yeah.
But they do start to, like, they're gonna cook, and then, like, Mingyu notices Jumi's dishes in the sink, and it's just like, wait, what the fuck? Nobody's home.
So
who made this?
He's so
like,
confused
he's just like,
by
what?
this.
What? How did this happen? Like,
yeah. Now that we're talking about it, though, it actually makes more sense why he was confused, because I think they knew when Jumi got home the previous night, and we're probably expecting her to be home a similar time.
Well, and also they walked around loudly in the house and didn't find anybody.
And nobody came,
know?
Yeah. I guess maybe they're used to like everybody would come if they got home.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
I mean, when G1 came home, though, like they all just like hid upstairs like the previous night, though. So for all they know, everybody's back. They're just chilling somewhere.
I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, they're very confused why it looks like food has been made. Also, Jumi, like, she looks very tired while she's watching TV. Like, she seems very ready to go to bed at this point. And she even looks like a little disheveled, doesn't she? Like,
yeah.
In a way that, like, we don't usually see people on these shows. Plus, she also talked about how, like, previously, how, like, she can't stop thinking about work when she's not working.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
That's why she has hobbies to, like, clear her brain, Yeah,
and I don't know how much, like, of her routine is to, like, watch a TV show or, like, do something to, like, get her mind off work. So I don't know if this is, like, part of her process or something. I don't know. Okay. I wasn't reading into it as much as the hosts were trying to push. Yeah. So they're walking upstairs, though, after they haven't started cooking yet. And then Jimin says on the way upstairs, "Oppa, come out in 4 minutes." And then he's like, "Why 4 minutes?" And she was like, "Just because." And then she's like, "I'll start counting." And then this is the point where, like, okay, this could be the first words that Jumi has heard.
Actually heard, yeah.
Yeah, this is like the strangest conversation.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know if there was more context to this and they didn't give it to us, but it seemed like Mingyu was as confused as we are. Like this, nothing comes of this 4 minutes. Nothing happens. I'll start counting. This is like so weirdly flirty, right? Like,
yeah. It was silly and cute. And
if I was Mingyu, like I would assume Jimin liked me for sure. Yeah,
100%.
In this 4-minute time period, supposedly, Jimin is gonna find Jumi in the playroom.
Yes, and she tells her to come downstairs because they're gonna drink wine and make food. And I don't know, Jumi does not really commit to anything. I feel like
she also mentions like super casually, like, "Oh, Mingyu and I both have the day off tomorrow. Isn't that awesome?"
Yeah.
We're gonna get to spend even more time together.
Oof. Yeah.
And I got excited. I was like, let's go. Just like the whole show is just Jimin and Mingyu.
Yeah.
Jumi just like stays to watch TV. I really feel like she just had not that much time left on the show. This is I don't think this is weird at all, honestly.
Okay.
It's like, oh, you guys are gonna have food and drink. I'll be done a little bit. I'm just almost done this episode. So yeah, Jimin and Mingyu, they make dinner.
Yes.
They sit down to eat in their but they like both are wearing their aprons still.
Yes.
It's so cute. So cute.
They're matching.
It's like, I mean, Jumi is there, but she hasn't really like made herself present in the house. So it's as if like they're literally like a couple living together at their house, and like they just made dinner together, and then they don't even bother taking their aprons off. They just start eating right away. But then eventually Jumi finishes her show and then gets herself ready and comes downstairs.
Yeah, like she changes and like touches up her makeup and everything before she comes down.
She was like, I think she was legitimately like wearing pajamas.
Yeah, definitely.
While she was watching TV, yeah.
Do
you want to describe the rest, what this interaction, Sarah?
Okay,
she comes downstairs.
She comes down and she asks them, about the food and who made it. And Mingyu like confesses that it was a meal kit. They didn't just like make everything from scratch or whatever. And Jumi's like, "Are you allowed to use a meal kit when you have to cook?" Which is a weird thing to say.
It's a weird thing to say, but based on other things Jumi has said, like I just feel like this is just how she is.
This is just her, yeah.
Like I really don't vibe with this at all. This kind of like,
I think she's just teasing, and it doesn't come off as playfully as when like
maybe, yeah. But it's not just me though. I think like I think Jimin and Mingyu are feeling the awkwardness that she's bringing here, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I would agree.
Because she kind of gives them a little jab about not meeting the standards of if it's your turn to cook, or whatever. And then she like walks away to the kitchen to get some, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And then as soon as she leaves, like Jimin just super out loud is just like, phew. Like this sigh of relief that like
mom didn't scold us too hard.
Yeah. Uni is done making fun of us. Or whatever she was trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, it also feels like in this sort of whole interaction, like she does end up talking more to Jimin than Mingyu. It feels like Mingyu will say a thing and she will respond to Jimin. Like, I don't know. I feel like she's not talking to him as much as in the past she may have addressed him directly, and it just feels a little off on that front. So I don't know if she's just like feeling weird about this, like they're clearly vibing, and so she's like trying to distance herself from him or something. I'm not sure.
Oh, you think that's what it is? I felt like
unclear on it.
Yeah, I felt like Mingyu was like kind of like caught off guard by the kinds of questions she was asking about like the meal, and she was like, like I think before she even said like if you're allowed to do that, like she asked a question like, "Oh, who made dinner?" Which that is a weird question. Like I feel like
it's like the people in the aprons made the dinner.
Yeah, Yeah, so maybe there is an extra little something from Jumi here that's like beyond her normal way
Yeah.
of talking to people. And I think Mingyu was like really caught off guard by this question, and he almost like wasn't able to answer the question.
Yeah.
It was so weird. Yeah. Yeah, the hosts are going to talk about how upset Jumi is. I guess now that we've talked about it a little bit more, I am buying it that she's like, but is she upset because she likes Mingyu? I don't know about that.
Or is she upset
Is it
because
just
people
like,
took forever to come home and make dinner when their responsibility was to make dinner? I don't know.
yeah, okay,
I don't know. I just feel like something's off. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but something's weird,
yeah,
you know?
or she's just exhausted. Doesn't even.
Also potentially true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think Mingyu actually starts this. Like he's gonna basically tell Jumi like what all they did before coming home.
Yes.
So he says like, "Oh, I picked her up, and then we got groceries or whatever, and then we came back, and then Jimin like starts. She gets really excited and is all like, Mingyu was the celebrity on campus
Yeah.
because
She's like teasing him because he clearly did feel awkward about that.
yeah,
And I think she also wanted to talk about how she called it a date, you know?
yeah. But I think I'm curious where you see how you see this. Like, do you think she's teasing Mingyu more, or like is this any amount of like trying to rub it in Jumi's face at all?
Oh, I think she is getting both of these things right now.
Both of things are happening, but what's the intention?
Um,
I think it's mostly just like being playful with Mingyu.
I want to say that, but then like the part where she earlier saw a friend and went, "I'm going on a date," like feels like she does kind of want to brag about it too.
Yeah, but
So
that
maybe
would
not like a rubbing in so much. I mean, it's
it's not
potato sort of situation. Like
yeah.
it's rubbing it in or bragging about it. Like I feel like she kind of wants to do that too.
Yeah. I wouldn't think that Jimin sees it as rubbing it in, but I think she like, you know, I think she's doing it in front of Jumi as if Jumi is her friend, kind of.
Yeah, I
thing.
don't think she knows that Jumi particularly feels any kind of way about Mingyu. So that's why it
Yeah.
feels more braggy than like rubbing it in, you know? She's just like, look,
Yeah.
we went on a date and also is teasing him at the same time.
Yeah. I think more of it is just like she really enjoys telling this story in front of Mingyu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm actually like surprised because, okay, she tells the story where she calls it a date or whatever. And like Mingyu's like, we just went grocery shopping. It wasn't a date. Like I think he says I was just her shopping buddy. And like,
Yeah.
given how much he seems to like Jimin, I'm surprised that he's putting that much effort into like close that, like to make it clearer, like keep the door open with Jumi at least, you know?
Yeah. I would say this is the first fail on Mingyu's part to say this. But I'm guessing it's just coming from like maybe he's like picking up on Jumi's vibe better than Jimin is, and it just like is trying to diffuse the situation.
Okay.
By being like, in reality, it wasn't a big deal. Like, it's more for Jumi that he's saying that, but then he's saying it in front of Jimin. So, like, if I was Jimin, I might take this a certain way. So
yeah, it's a difficult needle to thread, and you got to like figure out who you're more worried about.
Yeah.
Potentially putting off. And I would have assumed he would be more worried about putting off Jimin than Jumi.
Yeah, as far as we know, he hasn't really, other than first impressions, like he hasn't really shown any interest in Jumi.
There was the dishwashing though. They got along well in the dishwashing last night. So there's that.
Yeah, I guess. But again, also that is like, you know, is he just really sensitive to like awkward situations and felt really bad to like leave her there by herself doing everybody's dishes, and so he just kind of hung around. Yeah. I don't know, but I would say this is a fail. Like if this was me, I would think that I would maybe pick up on Jumi's vibe, but like I would not say this. I would just be like,
would you not say anything, or would you have a thing that could?
I would probably just laugh about laugh at
Okay.
Jimin's story, and then it's kind of outside my control at that point. Like it wasn't my idea to tell the story, but it happened. But I don't think I'd be trying to. I don't think I'd be trying to downplay the day I had with Jimin.
Yeah.
No, I would. That would not be
Yeah.
my strategy. That would be a higher priority than maybe giving Jumi a little bit of comfort.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
There's also this Jumi when Mingyu kind of describes like, oh yeah, the university is like on my way to work.
Yeah, she's like,
Jumi's
wait,
like,
where did you work?
Where do you work
again?"
exactly, actually? And he says it, and then she's like, okay. And then the hosts say, oh, that's where he works? Like, that's actually closer to where Jumi works than Jimin's school.
Yeah, so like maybe it's not actually on the way. He
Maybe,
went out of his
yeah.
way to drop her off and pick her up and everything.
Being closer doesn't necessarily mean it's not on the way. So I didn't really think
Yeah,
there's a
I wasn't
direct-
completely clear, but you
Yeah.
do see her like putting this together and being like, oh, okay. I guess.
She's a little bit of
this-
like, yeah, it's not really on the way. At least that's what she's
Yeah.
thinking it may be. But also, this Mingyu's got nothing to do, Who cares?
Exactly.
If it was in the exact opposite direction, I think he might do it anyway.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And it literally, he'd probably do it for anybody. That's kind of how I feel.
Okay.
Like, if there was another person in the house that would have to take public transportation or whatever, that seems like what Jimin was planning on doing. I feel like Mingyu would be giving anybody a ride, if I had to guess.
I don't think we've seen Jumi with a car, though. I think she might be taking public transport.
Ooh. Oh, that's interesting.
There we go.
I'm going to pay attention to that. Yeah, that's actually a really interesting theory.
So then, like, if where he actually works is closer to where she actually works.
Yeah.
and
Oh
he's
my god.
Going out of his way to drive a different girl.
If we start getting Jumi, Jimin, Mingyu carpools.
I don't think it's going to come to that.
It's not going to come to that because, well, Mingyu might have to choose. Like, oh, do I drive? If maybe Jumi's going to try to get him to drive her. And he's going to have to either leave early with Jumi or stay back with Jimin.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to ask for that, though. Like, I think
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Why
don't
not?
think she's like, okay, so when she was on the date with Jiwon and was like, oh, aren't you having a great time with me? And then she like backed off on it. Like that was too bold for her, Like I think her like being like, oh, why don't you drive me to work might be too bold for her.
Maybe, but
especially
then
when he's already driving somebody else.
I don't know if, but she still said it though. Like she backed off on it, but like she still said it, and then like she says these other things like, "Are we allowed to do meal kits? Or where do you actually work?" Like I don't know. She's being bold in other aspects, so I don't know. I wouldn't put it past her to be too. Maybe she'll wait for a day that she knows Jimin doesn't have school or something, and then she'll try it.
Well, the thing is, like, he doesn't actually have work, and that's why they both have off on the same day.
Yeah, he has off every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but if she goes to work tomorrow, she could be like, "Oh, since you don't have to drive Jimin to school, can you drive me to work?" Boom.
Oh, but that's even worse. Like, if
What?
somebody doesn't have to leave the house and you're like, just take me to work. Like, that's worse.
Oh, like you think he's not planning to leave the house at all? Okay. Well, this is exciting to look forward to.
If he's leaving the house, it's with Jimin tomorrow. 100%. That's
Okay.
what's happening.
All right. Every scene so far in this show has just been so good. I'm really liking this season.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Then you know what time it is. They're doing the dishes again. Here we go.
Of course.
I can't believe how much dishwashing scenes we're getting in this show.
Like maybe there should be a actual dishwasher, like the machine.
But then we wouldn't get these scenes though, Sarah. Those are so good.
I guess.
Yeah.
Just a lot of work.
Jumi is back to work as the human dishwasher.
Yes.
But she chooses to do at least the dishes that she's doing, she does it in like the extra room, not in the kitchen. And she's doing them by herself.
Yes. So sad.
And then I guess Mingyu is also doing some dishes, I think, as well. And Jimin's either helping or doing something else in the kitchen. And then Jumi says, like, they're behind her in the kitchen. So but she's like talking So she's like talking from another room, and then she's like, Jimin, are you in a good mood? And then Jimin just smiles and says, yes, very much so. What a
Well,
great
yeah.
interaction.
She went on that date, you know?
And then Jimin's like, Uni, is something going on? And then Jumi's just like, no.
No.
No, this is how I always behave. What are you talking about?
Yeah, something's weird.
Yeah, there's definitely. Oh, I think there's another moment that we didn't bring up where like she said the thing like, "Oh, we're allowed to do meal kits or whatever," and then she walked away, and Jimin was like, "Phew!" when she walked away, like
Yeah.
like Jumi was being a little scary or something. And then
Mm-hmm.
she's also like trying to talk to them from the kitchen, which I think we've seen like you can hear people from the kitchen.
Yeah.
When they're talking to the dining room table. But like she's asking like she mentioned the term white day.
Oh,
Which,
no.
are you familiar with white day?
This was Jimin, and this, I have so much confusion. Okay, like, we found out that Jiwon's birthday was, like, April 12th, right? That's what the show told us. Okay? White Day is a month after Valentine's Day. So, Valentine's Day, ladies get chocolate for dudes. White Day, a month later, March 14th, dudes get gifts for the ladies who got them chocolate.
That's what white day is?
Yes. But that's in March, and we're in April. So why is she talking about White Day? I'm so confused about when this show actually takes place.
Huh. Is it like a made up white day from production?
Maybe, because when we get to later where they have to pick out the gifts to figure out what date they're going on, they do talk about them being White Day gifts.
This must be
so
just
maybe.
Like production has told them like, oh, we're gonna do like a white day themed thing or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. That doesn't make any sense.
But
it has to be what it is.
That was my sidetrack. That's not why this interaction was weird or silly, really.
But that kind of explains, like, maybe because they kind of have a weird reaction. You think Jimin said White Day?
Yeah, Jimin says we're gonna drink upstairs. We're drinking on White Day, and she's like looking right at Mingyu, and he doesn't say anything, and it's kind of awkward. And so Jimin's like, "Say something now." And he's like, it's just weird. And then she's like, say nice. And he's like, nice.
They seem to be
like, what is this?
I don't, Jimin definitely thinks about Jumi in a certain way, like she's a little too much of something, right? That's kind of the vibe.
I mean, does this have anything to do with Jumi? I feel like she's just talking about like...
Oh, okay, maybe I dismissed this conversation. I thought Jumi was saying stuff from the kitchen, and then they like weren't responding to her, and then she says to Mingyu like, say something like to Jumi.
Oh, I thought she was trying to get Mingyu to respond to her saying we're gonna be drinking on White Day upstairs.
Oh, okay. I maybe I misinterpreted this whole scene.
I have no idea.
I thought it was still related to like the weirdness of Jumi, and they were like, Jumi's trying to talk to us, say something.
Maybe.
But then
I don't.
But then Mingyu doesn't say anything loud enough that Jumi would have heard her. So
yeah, exactly.
Okay, I might just be wrong about what just happened. Never mind. All right, should we keep that in the podcast? Should I edit that
sure.
out?
Why not? I don't know. It depends on how you feel.
Well, the listeners can tell us who was right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. The show is going strong.
Yes. Now I think it's Yore comes home at like 9, and he sees outside a suitcase covered in a bunch of stickers. And he brings it and another package inside. And now this is all anyone will talk about for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, and this suitcase is also addressed to the same name as the blank canvas they got.
Yeah, with the missing first syllable of the given name too, so they don't get any extra information about it.
And then the light bulb is going to go off for Galray, where he's like, I think this is the name of somebody that's entering the house.
And I'm like, oh, good job. You finally got there. Has any of these people ever watched one of these shows before? Because obviously they're going to get more people.
But again, the first syllable of the person's given name is like blanked out. Yeah. So they don't know 100% if it's going to be a guy or a girl.
But somebody does say that they're having a hard time thinking of any women's names that end with Shin. And so they're
Mhm.
pretty sure it's going to be a man. And at that point, Jimin's like, maybe I should shower and change. And then she's just like, I need to get ready.
Yeah. At some point, Jiyeon comes home too, right?
Yes, she comes back at 10:30. They're all like still in the playroom and she's eating and they're still just talking about like Jimin's like, they're going to show up any minute now. This new person's going to show up.
Yeah. But they, at this point, like everybody's back, but Jiwon is still not there because he still has the night shift tonight.
Oh yeah, he
right?
will
He's
not be coming back
not
until
coming
tomorrow.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point, you must be right because at some point they are like they're pretty sure it's going to be a guy, and then they actually go run over to Jiwon's room, and then they see that there's an extra bed now in his room. There's 2 beds now, so then that pretty much, you know, not 100%, but they're really thinking it's going to be a guy.
The like energy in this house becomes crazy because like Yori and Mingyu go just to check and they're being fairly chill about it. And then some of the girls come by and Mingyu's like, the bedroom's different. And they like scream and run down the hallway to check. Like they're just like, oh my God, it's happening.
Yeah. Jimin and Ji Young especially.
Oh yeah, yeah. Energy.
They're very
the
like
roof.
schoolgirly together about the whole
Yes,
situation. Jumi's a little more adult and professional about it, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is also a very low bar at this point.
It is, yeah. It's fun. It's a good time.
And then there's this great shot of like the girls are yelling and they're excited and they're like, oh, we gotta calm down. And then it cuts to a shot of them all just being silent watching TV, but like clearly agitated and just like, what is it happening?
And then I was confused because I thought, do you think the guys were also invested in, oh, this is probably going to be a guy, or were they still preparing under the possibility that it's going to be a girl?
Oh no, I think they were preparing for it to be a guy because like they practiced their handshake because they wanted.
Oh, is that what they were doing?
Okay. They want to make a good first impression. Like
there you
Mingyu
go.
even like puts on lotion to make sure his hand is like soft enough or whatever. And they're just like, yeah,
sense.
okay, bro, you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. It's fine. It's gonna be fine.
The reason I thought they maybe thought it could still be a girl though is because there's a weird moment where like the girls are like looking at Gyaorei's hoodie that he's wearing while he's on the couch, right? And he is like, you know, like the 2 strings that come out of a hoodie, he's like tied them into a bow.
Yeah.
Which I guess is not that normal. I can't say I see a lot of people do that. But the girls are really like commenting on this as if like something about him looks off. And they're like, and then Ji-young is like the closest to him. So she starts like fixing him.
Oh, yeah. I think like Jumi tells him to tie it in a cute way.
Oh,
and then,
it wasn't
like,
tied right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it does
then,
stay tied ultimately.
Yeah. And Ji-young's kind of like fluffing out the hood to make it sit right and big on his shoulders, I guess. And then she reties his drawstrings.
But isn't this weird that they would be like so gung-ho to do this if they thought, like, if they knew it was a guy?
I mean, they still want to make a good impression on their competition, I guess, you know?
I guess so, yeah. I thought they were like doing him a solid, like, hey, if it's a girl, you're gonna want to make it look extra cute.
I think they just had so much built up energy of just like, oh, it's happening. Like they didn't know if they needed somewhere to direct some of that anxious energy, you know?
There might have been a lot of like going around like like
Everyone
commenting on
crimping
everybody's
each other,
appearance and
yeah.
making sure they're like, you know, looking their best. There could have been more than just what we saw.
But this one was in just because it's Gyorei getting tended to by Ji-young. And
Ji-young, exactly.
He's gonna love that, yeah.
Okay. All right. Are we ready to meet this guy?
Yeah, at 12 a.m.
Is that when he shows up?
Well, that's when they cut to like a shot of downtown Seoul. And like, they're just like, a mysterious man walks in the street.
Yeah.
Like,
and then they're like, oh, he looks manly. The hosts, those are the comments, basically.
And he has a different kind of haircut than the other guys do. So, I mean, he does have a different look about him.
Yeah, he does have for some reason, like, having short hair like that doesn't seem that common. Like, everybody kind of has, like, not long hair, but, like, they have bangs, essentially.
Yeah, whereas his is, like, short on the side and, like, flipped up in the front a bit.
Yeah. Kind of like Dongwoo in Singles Inferno, I guess, yeah.
But yeah, so the doorbell rings. And everybody just like takes a minute and downs their wine that they have to hold him before they all like run to the door.
Yeah. Even my Jumi was like exhausted like 5 hours ago.
Well, yeah, but now there's a new man, so like
Yeah.
it's all exciting.
I'm just saying she has to still be exhausted, but yeah, I guess it gives.
Oh,
gives
she's
her-
gonna
gives her some
crash
energy.
after this, but like right now
Yeah.
she's got this extra
Okay.
weird energy to keep her awake.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, like Mingyu goes and he opens the door to let this guy in, and like the women are back at the wall, like leaning around the corner to peek at him instead of just like actually coming out,
Yeah.
like normal people. It
This
so
is,
silly.
I would definitely have been the one to open the door here. I could tell. Like,
Yeah.
like the women are, they're like, you go open the door, for sure. Like they're not going to do it. And then
Mhm.
I'd be like, it doesn't matter. I'll go get it. Like, that's what it kind of felt like when Mingyu went. He was just like, this is silly.
Yeah,
I'll go
yeah.
get the door.
We get subtitles that tell us that this is the Yi Hyu Shin is his name.
Yes.
Our new guy.
Hushin. Yeah.
Hyu Shin.
Yeah. Yeah. And he just kind of rolls into the house and nobody asks him what his name is.
No, or anything basically. It's just a lot of
And then-
awkward staring at this man.
And then I think Jumi is like the first to be like, oh, do you want a glass of water? And he's like, yeah.
But not just a glass of water, like a glass of warm water.
Oh,
so
warm
she has to
water.
go and like heat
Oh,
it
because
up.
it's probably cold
So
outside,
it
I
takes a
guess.
while. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Jumi's the first one to make a move, if you could call it that.
But so she's in the kitchen dealing with that, and everyone else is just being super awkward.
Yeah, super awkward. Jimin and Jiyoung are like holding each other, like they're like the furthest away from him, but they're like,
Yes.
so good.
And then Gyorei goes and gets him some slippers because he didn't put them on, and Gyorei is our slipper boy.
Oh, slipper master.
You know, exactly.
He's also the master of slip ups.
Oh.
Oh, this season's so much fun.
It is. It is a lot of fun. Yeah, the new guy's like asking everybody what they were up to before he showed up, and Gary's just like, we were drinking wine, and he's like, I don't drink wine well.
Is that what he said?
I don't know if he says it then, but like later, I think Jumi's like, oh, do you want some wine? And he's like, I don't really drink wine well. And she's like, okay, we'll get you a
Oh.
beer or something. Like she's very like, there is a guest in
Oh.
her house. I'm gonna take care of him.
She seems like if you go over to Jumi's house, like, you're gonna be taken care of.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of person.
Meanwhile, like Jimin and Ji Young have zero chill and are just freaking out in the background of every shot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they say like, oh, we were drinking, and he's like, what were you drinking? And then they were like, wine. And then he was like, wine. I did pick up on that, but it did seem like he wasn't that into the idea, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't see the conclusion of that. All right. And then they're just going to all kind of sit at the dining room table, right? And then we get to play the game of try to guess everybody's age and occupation, having just met them.
Yeah, because like Jumi also heated up some food for him. So he's like sitting at the head of this table, eating his food. Everyone is sitting there staring at him, not saying anything, not introducing themselves, not asking him his name until finally like Jumi's like, I do wonder what your name is. Like,
Yes.
This took so long to get to this point.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like on these shows, have we seen a guy like somebody just roll up to the front door and then now they're just in the house and they didn't have like anybody that met them outside the house and like kind of brought them back to introduce them before? Have we ever seen that?
Yeah. I mean, in Transit Love, I mean, she had an ex in the show, but Haeun, she just shows up.
Oh, did she just show up at the
herself.
front door? Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Yeah. Okay. I was thinking like I think in when the extra girl comes in Heart Signal 2, they actually do a thing where like all the guys are like sent out of the house and they like aren't allowed to tell the women what they're doing.
Okay.
And then they all like go to like a restaurant or somewhere.
Mhm.
And then the new girl like comes and basically has like a 4-on-1 date with like just
Oh.
yeah. And then
Okay.
all the guys come back to the house with the extra girl. Which is a
Okay.
different kind of dynamic than this.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know which one I like better. I mean, they're both kind of funny.
I mean, so here are all the things that happen before they even bother to ask him his name.
Okay.
Jimin like calls Mingyu out as looking nervous, and then Ji-young exposes them and was like, yeah, the guys were like brushing their teeth and putting on hand lotion and practicing their handshakes.
Yeah.
And so Hushin like is like, okay, well, we'll shake hands. So he shakes hands with Mingyu. And then Gyore's like, your hands are so big, man. And he's like, yeah, my hands and my feet are big, if you know what I'm saying.
He said that?
Yes.
He said,
did.
and my feet are big.
Yes, he did. Then
What a thing
Jumi
to
asked
say.
him his shoe size, and he tells us it's 285 millimeters, which is approximately a US 12 and a half.
Okay. He might be tall. That's my foot size pretty much.
But so we find this man's exact shoe size out before we know his name, because no one has bothered to ask him. And this is finally when Jumi is like, I am curious about what your name is. It is.
You got to get those priorities. You know? What's your hand size?
Give me all your measurements, then we'll worry about your personality or whatever, I guess.
Yeah, except we don't get his height, which is the most important measurement.
So yeah, he finally introduces himself, and no one offers their name in return, because it's like these people have never met people before, and it's so silly.
Yeah, because then they're gonna go around and like I think this just must be a normal thing that happens in like young people in Korea, or like if you're dating or like blind dates or something where like
group blind dates or something. Yeah,
the show is really likes this segment of let's guess everybody's age and occupation. And this time we know all the answers. So like, I mean, they guess his, right? But then we're going to go around and he's going to guess.
No,
everybody.
Nobody guesses his. He just
nobody,
comes out
because he says it too fast. Yeah.
Well, he says his name and no one says anything in response. So he's like, I guess I'll just tell you everything. And he says, I'm 31 and I'm a painter. And so there we go.
Do you think I think what it was is like the canvas was supposed to be his clue, which is like,
I guess so.
The most obvious clue out of anybody's object, right?
Yeah.
But I guess because production must have told him like, oh, they opened your thing already. So yeah, you don't need to do that. So maybe that's why he was like, oh, I guess I should just tell you what I am because you guys have already seen the object. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a little weird. But I swear at one point when they were making Hushin guess all their ages and occupations, he was like, I don't have to guess your names, do I? Like,
yeah.
It seems like he's not invested in this exercise at all.
Well, I think it's just because they're being ridiculous and
no
one has introduced themselves to him. Like, it's like people come on these shows and forget how to human, like, for, like, introductions. It's so silly. But we do get a little, like, package of his, like, job situation. So we see him painting and some of his paintings. And they look like a lot of, like, kind of surreal, weird people with butts for heads and hands everywhere. And
like, intertwined bodies. Yeah.
There's definitely one that's a guy fucking a wolf or something. It's an interesting. Yeah, it's a quick shot, but I went back to check, and it is.
Oh my goodness!
There's some. He's got some interesting concepts. I don't know. We see just a little bit of it, but then he also, we see him doing some runway model work. So he is also a model.
Yeah,
but he doesn't tell anybody that.
Oh, he didn't tell them.
Yeah, we just see that in the package about him.
Okay. All right. And then we're going to get him guessing. Well, actually, before he can guess Mingyu's age and occupation, Mingyu is also just like, I'll just tell you what my age and occupation are.
Yeah, then, he's like, let's human, I'll just introduce myself. And then is after that Jimin's like, you know what would be fun? Let's make this stranger guess things about us.
Yeah.
But yeah, because Mingyu is the same age as Hushin, he's like, oh, we're buddies. They're same age buddies, so that's nice.
Do you want to go through any of this? Like, there's some funny things, like, he says something weird about Ji-young where he's like, I think you're either really young or really old. But like, yes. Not in the middle at all. Like, no chance.
Yeah, and then he guesses 24, and she's like, well, I'm not really old. He also thinks she's a voice actor. Like, every guess he has is sort of, like, more creative than, like, standard
his guesses are way better than any of
what the real jobs are.
Yeah, not the real jobs, but, like, any of the guesses they were guessing previously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. feel like Jiyeon liked that he thought she was younger, though. What do you think?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Better than guessing she's super old.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm curious what his super old guess would have been.
I guess we'll never find out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jiyeon is like 29, right? So that's pretty middle. I
Yeah,
don't know if it
especially
gets
given
more
our age
middle than
stretch
29.
on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else of note from the guessing? I don't know. They made it seem like he was really impressed that Jumi was a lawyer.
Yeah, there's also like a moment where they make a lot of eye contact, you know?
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
just like catch each
I
other's
did write that
eyes and
down.
it's
Yeah. Hushin is also really into making eye contact. So
so maybe they're just perfect for each other, you know?
yeah. Or they'll get to feel like, oh, this is what it must be like when I'm trying to make eye contact. They do make a point of kind of saying, like, at least the hosts do, like, Hushin's guesses seem to be like all art-ish guesses, like as if maybe he's hoping someone is like an artsy type.
Yeah.
And then when he says wow, because he guesses Jumi is like does something with pottery or something, like some like crazy guess. And then she said she's a lawyer, and he says wow, and they interpreted that as like, oh, he's really impressed. But could it also be like,
that is the opposite of what I thought or hoped for.
Yeah, like he kind of liked Jumi from the very early impressions, and then was kind of like, wow, maybe disappointed that she was a lawyer. I don't know.
But she's a cool lawyer. She's a drummer too.
I mean, you think she's a cool lawyer because she plays the drums.
She's a cool lawyer.
Okay.
For Gyorei, he's like, oh, you're an actor. But then, like, he notices that Gyorei has like a button-down shirt and a tie on underneath his hoodie, and he's like, oh, okay, I guess you're just a handsome office worker then. That's the only time he guesses a normal job.
Yeah. And then he also seems to be legitimately shocked that he's 35 years old, just like everybody else was.
Yeah. Everyone is always blown away by that.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I think everything else is just, he's wrong. You never get
we
the
already
right
know
one
the
because
answers.
of yeah, exactly.
I don't find it like particularly interesting, these guessing things, but it just has to be something that people like to do.
Yeah.
And people like to watch because they do it. They out of all the things I choose to like skip on the show, they don't skip this segment.
Stuff,
they love this stuff.
But also, like, these people were impossibly awkward, so at least this gave them a way to talk for a while without having to come up with things to say.
Yeah. I also feel like Jimin, once they were all sitting at the table, like Jimin was a little like, again, like not trying to talk to him until he revealed his age again. Or she wasn't trying to give away. She wasn't trying to give away her age, even though I think he was able to figure it out.
Yeah. But she did not stop being like super excited.
Oh yeah, she showed her excitement, but in terms of like actually talking to him, she didn't really do that until the ages were revealed.
So then everybody breaks up into like, the girls go to the girl room to talk about this new guy. The new guy goes to his room, which is empty because he's going to share with Jiwon, who is not around. And then the other guys go to their room to also discuss this new guy.
Yeah.
And the guys' room is funny because like they're just like giving each other a little pep talk of like, it's fine. He's not too cool. You know, we can do this. We're gonna be fine.
Yeah. I like when we get these like bromance kind of storylines.
Yeah. This is great.
This always happens. And in like Heart Signal 2, like for whatever reason the layout of the house was like the four girls slept in their bunk bed room, the same on this show, like on the second floor. And then two of the guys ended up sleeping on the second floor. And then two of the guys were on the first floor. And those two guys just like, we're always supporting each other. Because like, you know, if anything interesting happened upstairs, they always missed it. Because they were on the first floor. They had a good dynamic. Yeah, that's how it feels like with Gyeore and Mingyu. They're like, we got this. We can do it.
Yep.
So good. And then I think in the women's room, Jiyoung says something like, he really doesn't seem like somebody that I would want to go up to and like say hi. Like he seems not very approachable.
Yeah.
But in a way that might be good. I couldn't tell.
It seems like he just seems too cool or something, you know, like.
But in a way that like she wouldn't be interested in him or would be interested in him because he's
I
so
I didn't get
curious.
I didn't really. Oh, well, I don't know. I didn't get a good read on which direction it was gonna go for her.
Okay. And then when they show him, he's like, so G1's not there, so he has his own room and he's there.
Hmm.
And then the host, he's just like doing something normal, but the hosts are like, "Oh my god, look at those shoulders! They're so wide."
I mean, they're not wrong. This man is built a little different from the other men on the show.
Okay, all right.
Things get weird timing wise because now suddenly we cut to some shots of the guys going to stores to buy gifts. This is a thing that happens in Heart Signal season 2.
This must
where-
happen every season because
Yeah,
they
didn't
didn't
really
even bother
explain
explaining
yeah.
it. So I think you're just supposed to know as a fan of the show like what they're about to do.
Yeah, but basically all the guys are going to get gifts. The girls are going to randomly pick those gifts, and whoever gifted they pick is who they will go on a date with. So we see the girls going down and gathering up all the gifts and taking them back to their bedroom, and they're deciding how they're going to pick them. And they do rock, paper, scissors, and the winner is just going to pick 2 gifts because now there's 4 men and 3 women. And then that's it. We don't see what happens after that. And it is very awkwardly just kind of crammed in here before we get the host segment where they're guessing who's going to text who for the evening. It's weird. I don't like that.
It's like a weird, like, it's supposed to be a cliffhanger, but because they do the host segment after it, it feels like they're going to come back and do it, but then they don't. So it's like,
yeah. And it's like maybe all the texting stuff already happened before this. Maybe this is even a different day. I am unsure. I didn't pay attention to what they were wearing, so who knows?
Yeah. Bit weird, but basically we're going to do the randomized date based on gifts choosing in the next episode. Yeah. But okay. Now we have to predict some text if you want to, and then people are going to get text, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like there's a little shenanigans going on with the host guessing. I'll be honest.
Okay.
Like, I really felt like it was really hard to guess this time. And they kind of like threw logic that kind of made sense, but was a little, I don't know. So, there's something about it where I feel like, I don't know. They end up getting one wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And like we said, maybe they guessed yesterday and got them all wrong. Or just got a bunch wrong. And then they were just like, they just edited it out. I'm not sure. Or not yesterday, but like Sunday night or whatever, if they did do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, Monday. Yeah, we're saying that on Monday they didn't do a text segment.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's something weird going on with them guessing. Some of the logic, like I feel like they use like some logic last week, but then use like reverse the opposite of that logic this week, and then somehow they got it right both times. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Weird. Yeah. I
think it was really hard to guess who the women were going to text this time.
I guessed that they were all going to text the new guy.
The new guy. Oh, that is a bold prediction.
Yeah, I figured I was going to be wrong on some of them, but I was wrong on all of them. No one texted the new guy.
I actually thought Ji Young was going to text the new guy.
Oh, I was feeling really strong that Jimin was going to text the new guy.
Jimin, really?
She hasn't seen G1 all day,
but she had a date.
She was very excited about it. Yeah, but she still didn't text him. So
she did it, but I thought that was my prediction that she would actually finally not text G1 and go to Mingyu. But she just keeps going with G1. Which if anybody has tunnel vision on the show, I actually think it's Jimin right now.
But she's at least approaching it in a way where she's still going on dates with other people.
Oh, yeah. Like she's making
she's just
the
tunnel
other guys,
visioned in texts.
Like she is totally confusing Mingyu about what the situation is. Or it could be like, I think you said this, like, maybe she's...
Oh, because G1 was away, she didn't have a chance to have an interaction with him, so this
it's as if she's, like, trying to cast, like, a bigger net, like, as big a net as possible, so she's like, since I have the time to spend with Mingyu, I'll spend time with Mingyu, but then I'll use my text to text somebody else.
Yeah.
And not try to, maybe that's her trying not to tunnel vision.
Maybe.
But also she's texted the same person every time, so she hasn't switched who she's texting. So that's a little, I don't know.
We'll see what happens when he has a day off.
I'm more inclined to think that she is maybe it could just be an age thing. Like maybe she just doesn't see
it working out with any of the older guys.
older guys. And then she's just going to, I don't know. We'll see if she ever switches. I'm curious
Yeah.
if she does. All right. Do you just want to go through the text here?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
So first we get Ji Young's text. It says sleep well and fighting tomorrow too. And this is, of course, from Yore because he has always
Yeah.
texted her.
Yeah. No reason to change if you're Gowry. I think
that's
he's
true.
good. Yeah. I like it.
Then Jumi gets 2 texts. One says, "Let's have more conversations next time. Have a good night." And this is presumably from Jiwon.
G1, yeah. I thought G1 was tough to choose too because I don't know. I feel like he wasn't that into Jumi on the date. The host made it seem like he was.
Yeah.
But
I thought he was only texting her after that date because that's what you do.
I thought he would switch back to Ji Young after this, more likely than not. But
that is who I guess.
he also didn't. It would also be a little weird to like everybody knows you didn't interact with anybody that day, and then you like switch texts. So there could be some feeling of like, wow, like I could make like you would know that you were gonna make Jumi feel bad by not texting her when you didn't even interact with another person that day, and you switched.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a little weird.
And her other text is, "Let's get to know each other better." And this is from Hushin, the new guy.
The new guy, yeah. Jumi just crushing it with the first impressions, by the way.
It's that
3 out of 4.
eye contact they had. Ooh.
Yeah. You know, you're uncomfortable. This is what they talked about in the episode 1. It's like, you're feeling uncomfortable, you make eye contact with somebody, and then it makes you feel more relaxed. You know, that's just the.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She also like got him a drink and heated up dinner for him. So you know,
yeah.
while everyone else was refusing to actually talk to him because they're too awkward.
I think the host also speculated that like oh, he's so like big and manly and handsome that like, you know, he probably sees a ton of girls that act like Jimin and Ji Young were acting.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Giggling, but like Jumi was different or something like that.
Yes, clearly.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see if that.
Yeah,
I would guess that this maybe might switch. It depends on what these dates are going to be, actually.
Yeah. I mean, everybody theoretically is going to text whoever they go on a date with. Is what my guess will be.
Potentially,
next time.
except for Jimin.
Jumi's going to go on 2 dates. So
Jimin doesn't date Jiwon, still text them. Maybe we'll see.
Oh yeah, also that's true. But so Jimin gets a text and it says, "Make sure you take the rest of the medicine and feel better soon. You worked hard today too."
Yeah.
And this is from Minkyu. And she starts giggling so hard immediately. And she's like, "They send such obvious texts."
Yeah,
and
she's
I'm
like
what?
As if she says that as if like, you know, every single guy has texted her and she's been able to tell every single time. Like, or she's just assuming that the other girls are getting obvious texts too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And like, obvious texts are what you want. You want to know who's texting you.
Yeah. But also like, I mean, Mingyu has texted her a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And who else texted her? Like one other person texted her once. It must have been Jiwon.
Yeah, I think.
Jiwon like texted her once. I don't know. It was a bit of a weird comment. But what's interesting is like, so she knows that Jiwon's not texting her.
Yes.
Right? But it doesn't seem to be affecting her at all.
That's true.
Which is interesting.
I think she's just real chill. I don't know.
Yeah. The idea of the text is like you way overread them. But maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm super curious like what Jimin's strategy is here. Because she also like with like a level head, you're like, oh yeah, I haven't really talked to the guy that much. But also I'm still texting him. But I don't really expect him to text me back. And it's a little bit different than what we normally see on these shows for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Who's next?
Next is Mingyu, and he gets "Let's be close," and "You had another long day. Let's listen to your LP all together tomorrow. Good night."
Mingyu somehow gets 2 texts,
but none of them are from Jimin.
None of them are from Jimin. How did this happen, Sarah?
I don't know. I also don't know which one is Jumi and which one is Ji Young.
I believe that Ji Young is the first one. What was the first one?
Let's be close.
Let's be close. I think that's Ji Young, and then the longer one is Jumi.
And
then what is LP? Is that a group?
Like an album.
Oh, okay.
So like at least that one is clearly referencing some conversation they had. So that's the good text, you know.
And it's not it was listened to. It wasn't like a show. If it was a show, you would think it was Ji Young because they have like similar They both
Oh
like
yeah,
anime
yeah.
and animations or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. For some reason, I feel like the show said that Ji Young was the Let's Be Close one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so ultimately the hosts were able to guess that Jumi was gonna text Minyu, but the one they get
Yes.
wrong is they just thought Jian would text Galray again,
Yeah.
and he didn't, and
And
she didn't.
he gets no texts.
Galray
Gary.
gets no text. Yeah, first time. It's no longer fate, Sarah. Will he move on? It's over.
Oh,
Now he has reason to switch, right?
that's true. This is
We'll
his
see.
first
We'll
like
see what he
real
does.
quote unquote rejection from her,
Yeah,
right? So
that's all the text, right?
no,
Oh,
Jiwon
there's one
gets a
more.
text that says, "I was
Oh,
waiting for you today. Let's eat something yummy when you return. Hope you can sleep soon. Sweet dreams." And this is from Jimin.
yeah. The longest text is always from Ji.
And I like we actually get a shot of him receiving this text in the stairwell at the hospital or something.
Yeah. Like that actually happened. Yeah. Okay.
And then of course we see our new guy not getting any texts.
Yeah, new guy didn't get a text. That's probably pretty normal on these shows, I think. Like,
I guess.
especially if you had no time to interact.
But he was
right?
so tall and
I guess.
I don't know.
And not approachable.
I guess that's true. That does make it harder to text him, I suppose.
But maybe you're like, oh, I don't want to talk to him face to face, but I'll text him.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'll make it vague so he doesn't know which one who it was.
Yeah, that is it for this episode.
Yeah, so I think this is the first time this season that nobody reciprocated texts. Like no two people texted each other.
Oh.
Because
Yeah.
Galray and Jiyoung had been texting each other
Right.
back and forth up until now, right?
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
at least one other time people might have reciprocated.
And now it's all a mess.
Yeah, now it's all a mess. Like, yeah,
Maybe when they go on some actual official dates, things will start to line up a little bit more.
yeah, official dates. They really have a conversation. Like, yeah, we haven't gone on any dates yet. Come on, get out of here. Okay. And as always, this is where the show ends, right? Did we get anything else after the text?
We do get previews,
We get
which is
previews,
basically just like they're all going on dates,
okay. Yeah.
It's a lot of women waiting by the side of the road, which is what they always make them do for these dates. And
Yeah.
then just people, one shots of people on dates so they can be like, you don't know who they're going to be on this date with. And they kind of try to imply a couple couples or whatever, but
Yeah.
Nobody's in the same shot. So who knows?
Okay. So you didn't think you were able to like 100% confirm any of the
I mean, I
dating
could
who-
have, I felt like I could have made some guesses, but I didn't take the time to do it
Yeah.
because it was just
Who
like,
cares?
whatever. People are going on dates. We'll see it.
Are you excited that Jumi is going to get 2 dates?
Yes, I am.
You are a Jumi fan, despite
I do like Jumi. I mean,
the,
whatever happened this evening with the cooking and the whatever was weird, but
Okay.
still think she's cool.
All right. She's probably the last choice I would have wanted for having 2 dates, but
Okay. I also kind of feel like maybe, like, I don't know that this is accurate, but I feel like she might be a little bit of an underdog right now, and I root for an underdog,
Oh yeah. I mean, if I had to guess, I don't see this show ending great for Jumi if I had to guess, but
I mean, she did get 2 texts today.
she's
So,
getting
like,
she's
gotta be
getting
doing something
texts.
right.
Yeah.
It's just not from the people that she seems to be interested in.
Yeah. I mean, she's crushing the first impressions, but I'm still a little confused about the G1, what G1 is thinking, but we don't get to see him on the show, so how could we know?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I guess I'm worried like maybe production will somehow influence this, but I'm worried like, oh, somehow Ji-young is just gonna date Galray again or something like that. Whereas
yeah.
I'd feel more comfortable knowing that
If she had the 2 dates, then she'd at least
the
go
other
on a date with
two
someone else.
were
Yeah, okay.
guaranteed 2 dates, so I'd at least get somebody new. And then like if I had to see Ji-won and Jumi again, I would just be interested to see how a second date went with those two. So that's
okay.
kind of my thought. But hopefully I'm hoping we get as many. Well, I mean, Jimin. I'll take Jimin and Mingyu as much as we can get on the show. But other than that, probably I would like more random new dates.
I think I would like Jimin and Jiwon to go on a date so that way she can actually figure out if this is like get some sort of sense on if they're actually vibing or not.
Yeah. Oh, if Jimin and Jiwon go on a date and then G1 has to choose who to text. Ooh, okay.
I mean, then he's
I
just
like
going to
that.
text her because he went on a date with her and he's polite.
Ooh. But then how will Jumi interpret that? See, it gets spicy.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Things are so much simpler in real life when you can text as many people as possible.
And when, you know,
You can date
they
as
see
many
your
people as
name,
possible.
you know?
And they see your name, yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have weird restrictions on what you can talk about or when you can cook or whatever. It's, you know, weird.
Yeah, Jimmy's definitely taken the rules of the house a little too just trying to live by the letter of the law, like a lawyer
Yeah.
would, right? Come on.
I mean, it makes sense. It's fine. She's a cool lawyer.
But literally, if she's watched these shows before, she should realize that these rules do not matter whatsoever. If she's watched Transit Love, she really should know the rules don't matter.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm really enjoying this season.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
I think like you said when we were talking about episode 2, like something about, I feel like the casting, they just did a better job with casting. Somehow they got a dynamic that I like even more. They're gotten to being competitive but also playful, so it's still like fairly lighthearted despite there being some drama. But
and I'm so glad the like thing with all the women cleared up as soon as they got the ages together.
Yeah,
that was
that
was the whole season. That would be a little much, but they sorted that out, so it's fine.
So I'm really liking the pace of Heart Signal right now. All right, what are we going to talk about next time, Sarah?
Next time is Transit Love 2, episode 11?
11.
Is that what we're on?
Yeah, we're up to 11. That'll be next week or a week after.
Yes.
Yeah, about a week after whenever this episode drops.
Yeah,
and
we're
then 2 weeks after,
everything to approximately.
Yeah, we have to shift everything.
Yeah.
Our schedule's a little wonky now, but we'll figure it out and hopefully get in a rhythm again.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks after this episode drops will be about the time that we will talk about Heart Signal 4 episodes 4 and 5.
Yeah.
So we can keep pace.
Yep.
We'll do
see some dates and who knows what happens after that.
Yeah, it's always we kind of know we're going to get dates in episode 4. No idea what episode 5 is. It's a mystery in 2 weeks. So
maybe we'll get an extra person in the house, you know? We'll just get
I would hope so.
I hope
the fourth girl enters sooner than later. I like
so
getting
not
everybody
completely
in the mix
disadvantaged.
earlier. Yeah. Awesome. All right, Sarah. Where can people contact us?
People can email us at keepwatchingpod@gmail.com, tweet at us at keepwatchingpod, Instagram at us at keepwatchingpod, or leave a comment on this video on YouTube also at keepwatchingpod. And if you would like to have better energy than Ji-young and Jimin meeting this new guy and don't want to just awkwardly be in the back of the scene not saying anything, you can leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Be Jumi. Offer us some warm water, I guess.
Also, if you think this podcast is a mother party,
yeah, let us know.
Leave us a review.
That would be great. I would love to read a review on the show that's just like, this podcast is a mother party. I would be so happy.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.